On May 16, 2017, the demon race occupied every last inch of human territory. The human world had been utterly conquered. Amid that fierce battle with smoke and fire filling the sky, Tran stood in the middle of the battlefield, his cold face stained with blood. 7 years earlier, several demon kings suddenly descended upon the world, among them the demon king Lam and Gayat. They led the demon race using overwhelming power to crush the human world. He looked down at him with contempt and sneered, Are you really worthy of being called humanity's last hope? Your entire species is trash, you can't even withstand one strike. His claws condensed a glowing red sphere of energy. Now unleash your final value to the fullest. That energy made the space glow a uniform crimson. Lam and Gayat said gloomily. Become my food, become my powers. Tran's whole body was lifted by that energy stream, gradually being absorbed bit by bit. He struggled desperately but to no avail. Images flashed through Tran's mind, his sister, comrades, master, all his dearest loved ones. He gritted his teeth, fresh blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. They had all had their lives snatched away by those beasts. In the end, Tran chose to violently release his energy to destroy everything. I will perish with you for their sake. The space blazed with a dazzling golden light, lightning radiating outward. It was an SSS rank ultimate skill, Supreme Lake Radiance. Lam and Gayat was trapped by that immense energy and cried out in horror. What is happening? I can't move. Tran's body gradually disintegrated before he dissolved. Fragments of memory appeared in his mind, his sister. The silhouette of his master imprinted in his memory. And his parents, a happy, warm family. Everything began to fade. Tran whispered regretfully, we'll meet soon, it's just a pity I'm not strong enough. Before his figure vanished completely, he wished, if only I had been a little stronger. If only I could go back 10 years to that time, discover the demon possession earlier, stop the first demon king's appearance. Everything shattered within the blinding energy. Lam and Gayat roared in rage, you despicable race, and yet you could. Before he could finish, his body too was reduced to scattered fragments. When he opened his eyes, a faint light shone in. Tran saw the ceiling. He opened his eyes and looked up groggily. He was lying in a room, his wrist tightly bandaged. Tran sat up, bewildered, lifting his injured wrist to inspect it. I'm not dead yet. He swung his legs off the bed and curiously looked around the room. Where is this? Tran went to the window and looked down. It turned out he was in the school's medical department. Sunset bathed the schoolyard. His classmates were chatting happily, laughing and joking. And laughing, Tran froze, unable to believe his eyes. Wasn't the world destroyed? So many people like this. Where did they come from? It took him a long time to accept reality. I had traveled back in time 10 years, returning to my student days. He examined his youthful face in the mirror, eyes wide with astonishment. Suddenly, a line of garbled text began to appear before him, displaying on a screen the words, Brute assimilation power fusion complete. Only now did he realize his wish had come true. I had returned to before everything began. Tran hurriedly checked his phone. The screen showed 4:15 p.m. May 16, 2157. It took him a long moment to digest this information. I've gone back 10 years. May 16, 2017, he knew clearly this was 3 years before the first demon king descended. Those harsh, dark memories flooded back into Tran's mind. In 2020, 3 years from now, the first demon king, Fury, would descend and open the gates of hell. Other demon kings would follow and come down to the human world because of him. That was the starting point of total annihilation, and because of it I lost everything. Tran stared at his hands in shock and smiled faintly, but now I'm back. He believed that if he could defeat the first appearing Fury and prevent the Hellgate from opening, there was still a chance to change everything. The system was still displaying, brute assimilation power fusion complete. He watched it curiously. What is this brute assimilation power display? It had been hovering before him since he opened his eyes. When Tran reached out to touch it, it disappeared and transformed into a data panel. All attributes were at 100. Strength, stamina, elemental power, speed, insight, mental power. What is this game-like data? Are these my current attribute points? Tran was puzzled. He had never seen anything like this before. Previously, he had always fought with awakening power, something 1 in 10,000 people possessed. Besides, the school he attended was the National Awakener University, which only admitted students with awakening potential. But sadly, in his previous life, he failed to awaken throughout 4 years of university, always at the bottom of the food chain, bullied by everyone. Tu Tran rubbed his chin thoughtfully and suddenly realized, this is probably why I woke up in the medical room. Suddenly the screen switched to a new interface, drawing his attention. It displayed profession, electric striker strength, 100 stamina, 100 elemental power, 100 speed, 100 insight, 100 mental power, 100 skill. Thunder God and electric current ran through his body. In an instant his movement speed increased tenfold. Thunder Blade focuses electricity into a blade, increasing critical damage for attacks. Hitting a weak point causes a paralysis effect. Tu Tran was stunned. Electric striker, electric system, isn't this the profession I had in my previous life? His whole body trembled. He vaguely felt a source of energy running through him. Could this be the power from my past life being inherited back? Could I have awakened earlier? Tu Tran was eager to test it immediately. Let me check my current strength, notification displayed, switching profession. Suddenly there was a clatter outside. Someone had opened the door. Tu Tran spun to look. Ma Long, his doormate, entered carrying a pile of snacks. He exclaimed in surprise. Ma Long happily ran over and asked, "Hey bro, you're awake, is your body okay?" Tu Tran replied, "I'm fine now." From Ma Long's reaction, Tu Tran glanced at the still visible interface and found his answer. Indeed, others couldn't see this interface. Ma Long checked him all over and exclaimed in surprise, "Your wounds are all gone. Yesterday you took a heavy beating. Your recovery speed is even faster than an awakener like me." He glanced at the guy babbling beside him and smiled faintly. "This is my dorm roommate Ma Long." Although he had awakened during university, he still ranked near the bottom of the class. In the previous life, when the third Demon King descended, Ma Long was brutally killed, but now he truly stood before him, alive and well. Ma Long checked Tu Tran in surprise. "I even feel like he's stronger now. Did I misjudge?" Tu Tran finally allowed himself to relax, a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. Only at this moment did he truly feel, "I'm really back." Ma Long suddenly remembered and slapped his hands. "Right, tomorrow is that grade assessment. If you're okay, let's hurry back and prepare." He hurriedly pushed Tu Tran toward the door. "Even if you haven't awakened yet, it still relates to the graduation evaluation. Let's go." The campus courtyard remained peaceful as ever. Everyone was busy with their own activities, some playing soccer, some jogging. Tu Tran strolled leisurely across the practice field. "It's been so long since I've seen so many people alive like this." Ma Long got goosebumps and hurriedly rubbed his arms. "What are you saying to scare people like that?" He couldn't hide his curiosity and asked, "Hey, are we just going to walk around the sports field?" Meanwhile, Tu Tran remained lost in old memories. "I once lost everything." His heart grew heavy thinking of that dark future. "If I do nothing, that hopeless future will return soon." From then on, a fierce determination rose in Tu Tran. "I must immediately make a plan and quickly level myself up." He understood clearly that in this era, awakeners had only one path to level up, killing mob beasts in maturing zones. But the large maturing zones were monopolized by major guilds, and outsiders basically had no chance to get in. If these are my current values, how does this strength compare to other awakeners and mob beasts? To distinguish power levels, the government classified awakeners and mob beasts from highest to lowest. S right arrow, A right arrow, B right arrow, C right arrow, D right arrow. Most students at the school only reached rank E. Only very few geniuses or those with guild backgrounds attained rank D. Tu Tran thought confidently, "Surely I'm stronger than him." Suddenly, a basketball flew from somewhere and struck Ma Long in the face. Ma Long collapsed to the ground with a thud, his glasses shattered. On the stairs, a few guys leaned back laughing loudly. One sneered, "Isn't that Tu Tran and Ma Long? They sure heal fast, huh? I told you those two take a beating like champs." The arrogant guy pointed and asked, "You clearly knew I was playing basketball here, yet you didn't bring 2 crates of drinks." Ma Long trembled with fear and kowtowed. "Sorry, I'll go buy them right away." Tu Tran stepped up calmly, his voice cold. "You're not the one at fault. The ones who should apologize are them." He stared at the guy and asked coldly, "Is it him?" Some memories from the past suddenly surged back. In his previous life, Tu Tran was shoved headfirst into water by Kung Than, repeatedly pressed forcefully against the wash basin in the restroom. Ma Long crouched in a corner, trembling and begging, "Please, stop." Kung Than kept one hand pressing Tu Tran's head into the water, sneering, "Why stop? I'm helping him awaken." The force on his wrist grew stronger and stronger. "He still hasn't awakened, shouldn't we prod him a bit?" The gang of followers behind him laughed uproariously at the pitiful sight. Seeing Tu Tran unmoving, they lost interest. Let's go, this isn't fun anymore. Ma Long rushed over, worried, asking Tu Tran, are you okay? Water from his soaking hair ran down his cheek. It was unclear if it was water or tears. In a voice full of bitterness, he cried out, why won't you leave us alone? More than anyone, Tu Tran understood. Malice didn't only exist in mob beasts, it also lived in the hearts of humans. Kung Than had earlier threatened, what did you just say? He casually ordered his cronies, go on, keep beating him until he wakes up. Kung Than was momentarily stunned when Tu Tran spoke, uttering, huh. Ma Long, bruised and battered, weakly said, Tu Tran, what are you saying? Kung Than, an E-rank fighter, stepped forward, a green energy radiating from his arm. The two followers behind him also advanced. Tu Tran's gaze grew cold as he silently stared at his opponent. He knew this was Kung Than. Relying on his brother, the student council president and the strongest at school, he bullied the weak. In truth, his own ability was nothing special. The surrounding classmates noticed and whispered, look, Kung Than's about to beat them again. Look, they just got out of the hospital and they're being beaten again. One's the weakest awakener, the other hasn't even awakened, truly the two most useless guys in the school. Kung Than stopped in front of Tu Tran and looked down from above. His voice ice cold, what did you just say? Say it again. Don't bother us again after this. He raised his fist, I think you're really missing a few punches, aren't you? Tu Tran casually lifted his hand to block the fist. Kung Than's legs wobbled and he staggered backwards, moaning softly in pain. The scene left everyone gaping in astonishment. What just happened? He actually blocked Kung Than's punch. He clearly hasn't awakened. Damn, am I seeing things? Kung Than felt utterly humiliated as people pointed and whispered. Damn it, a weak, unawakened kid dares challenge me. Tu Tran faintly condensed lightning in his palm, a corner of his mouth lifting. Perfect, I'll test you. System displayed progress, profession change complete. Tu Tran, electric striker. Additional info appeared, Thunder God, and electric current runs through the body. In an instant, movement speed increases tenfold. Thunder Blade concentrates electricity into a blade, increasing critical damage for attacks. Hitting a weak point causes a paralysis effect. Also, stats have been upgraded. Strength, 200 speed, 300 elemental power, 100 insight, 100 mental power, 100. Ma Long screamed in panic when did you awaken? Lightning crackled around Tu Tran. Kung Than activated the immortal demon armor, his hand swelled large as he roared excitedly. I think you forgot who you're messing with. Lightning crackled around Tu Tran. Kung Than activated the immortal demon armor, his hand swelled large as he roared excitedly. I think you forgot who you're messing with. He swung the gigantic fist toward Tu Tran, tastes like killer palm time. But in the next instant, his mouth fell open as he saw Tu Tran's fist already appear right in front of him. Smack! Kung Than was knocked to the ground by that punch. His body hurled far backward as bright blood sprayed everywhere. Classmates were stunned. What just happened in that instant? One punch sent Kung Than flying. Ma Long doubted his whole life, watching everything shift dramatically before his eyes. They must be dreaming. Is this really Tu Tran? What on earth happened? Kung Than was hit face first to the ground, cursing, you how dare you hit me from behind? He turned and barked at his cronies, what are you standing there for? But now Tu Tran advanced like a vengeful demon, looming darkly. Still reeling in pain, Kung Than lunged forward, growling, I'll kill you. Tu Tran casually lifted his hand, grabbed the wrist that lunged at him, then crushed it and twisted it hard backward. Kung Than was left speechless from the pain, screaming miserably. Tu Tran raised his fist wrapped in crackling lightning and sneered, you're pathetic. At that moment, lightning blazed across one corner of the courtyard. Kung Than took the full force of the blow. He went flying like a torn toy hurled far away. Thud, the heavy impact echoed. No one expected the arrogant bully to be beaten so thoroughly. He lay motionless, blood-soaked, clothes in tatters, unable to move. The whole school fell silent, stunned as they stared at him. Ma Long was shaken, stammering. Tu Tran, when did he become this strong? Tu Tran glanced at the status bar and silently drew a few preliminary conclusions. First, as before, I can switch to the lightning assassin state at any time. Although the system level is currently only level 1, as expected the normal state is already enough to handle the lowest ranked awakeners. This indicates my current rank is higher than. But exactly which rank remains unclear, yet there's still a problem. I clearly defeated him, so why did the system values not change at all? He lifted Kung Than's collar, lightning crackling fiercely around his body. From behind, a gentle voice rang out, "Classmate, this is a school." Lin Vu, vice president of the student council, spoke up to admonish. Although he was at fault first, this punishment was already sufficient. She smiled admonishingly. He won't dare lay a hand on you guys again. Tu Tran released his grip. Kung Than collapsed to the ground with a thud, lying still and whimpering. He glanced at Lin Vu, curious. Why is the student council so eager to protect him? But he had no intention of doing anything more to him. If this type of person isn't suppressed thoroughly, they'll keep clinging and harassing others. Two of Kung Than's cronies cowardly hid behind a wall, whispering, "That guy's expression just now was terrifying, better not provoke him again." Is that even Tu Tran anymore? Aren't those two supposed to be the weakest, poorest kids in the whole school? Tu Tran didn't want to waste any more time there and said coldly, "Let's go." Ma Long hurriedly followed after him. Lin Vu stood behind, murmuring with interest, "The weakest, the poorest." That night in the South Dormitory building, Ma Long eagerly recounted the afternoon's events, but no one believed him. He was desperate to prove it. "Why don't you believe me? Tu Tran really did awaken, and he's an electric assassin, super strong." Ma Long reenacted the earlier scene, flailing his arms and legs. He knocked Kung Than flat. "Now those guys don't even dare look us in the eye." A roommate, a lieutenant-ranked husk mage, poked his ear and asked irritably, "So where did he go?" Ma Long hesitated, scratching his head. "Seems like," he said, "he went for a run." The other guy jabbed a finger at Ma Long's head and scolded. "If he's that strong, why would he need to go for a run? Do awakeners still need basic training like this? Does that even make sense?" "Huh?" Another classmate, a companion-ranked husk mage, chimed in, fingers clacking on the keyboard. "Looks like Ma Long's brain really got scrambled." "Right, wake up a bit," the lieutenant reminded them. "The reason the four of us are assigned to the same dorm is because our ranks are among the four lowest in the whole grade. That's unchangeable. Besides, I'm ranked the absolute lowest in the dorm. Each person can only awaken one profession in a lifetime. Those two are just support. I'm the dorm's only combat profession, a husk system mage. This is the immutable superior reality." That Tu Tran with that pathetic look, how could he awaken as an electric assassin? "As for me, I feel way stronger lately. Maybe I'll join a guild soon." The companion-ranked guy paid little attention and lazily said, "Tomorrow is the final rank assessment before graduation. Everything will be clear then." At the E-level trial area, the Wraith grounds, a group of people were guarding a space gate. From inside the gate, a figure stepped out. The person was Kung Din, the student council president. Lin Vu followed behind. He informed his subordinates and began to leave. "Today's trials end here." Suddenly Kung Din stopped when he saw a figure in a shadowed corner. He asked, "You've been waiting here?" Kung Than, still bitter about the morning, gritted his teeth. "If you don't handle this, I won't sleep tonight. In front of so many people, he humiliated me. Clearly he thinks nothing of you." Kung Din remained calm in the face of that anger. "I understand. He promised I'll help you deal with him." At dinner, Kung Din leisurely sliced a piece of steak. Lin Vu sat opposite and asked, "How do you plan to handle this?" He replied, "That guy is inferior to others." Kung Din seemed unconvinced. "Is he really as strong as you say?" Lin Vu answered, "I know the strength and ranks of everyone at the school. Fewer than 10 people have reached rank D, and they've all been recruited into my guild. Moreover, no one else has the opportunity to contact the wraiths like I do. Those ordinary awakeners have no way to level up." She believed no one could catch up to him. In the pouring rain at night, Tu Tran was running on the training field. He carried a 100 kg backpack on his shoulders and ran continuously for 20 kilometers. This was a self-imposed training regimen. Basic training can improve physique, and awakener's upper limit is proportional to their basic physical strength. Only with sufficient physical strength can one endure and fully utilize a profession's power, but this is far from enough. In 2020, the Demon King Fury left the Wraiths and descended into the human world, instantly slaughtering a large number of people. The only family he had left, his sister Tu Van, died at his hands. Watching Tu Van die in his arms, he begged desperately, "Don't, no." Tu Tran burned with hatred thinking of him. Fury had opened the gates of hell, allowing other demon kings to enter the human world. Therefore, the goal for the first phase. The goal is to kill Fury. Fury is the source of all destruction. He won't descend for another 3 years. He's certainly accelerating his growth. I have to be faster than him. Suddenly, the phone in his pocket vibrated. Tu Tran took it out to check. The screen showed a call from a painfully familiar name. Tu Van was calling. He was surprised and hurriedly put the phone to his ear. Hello. On the other end, Tu Van's curious voice asked, "Why have you been calling me so much today? I had a match and my phone died. I just got back to the dorm and plugged it in." She continued cheerfully, "Remember what I told you, if I win this prize we can finally cover the rent." Tu Tran stood frozen in the rain. In that ruined future he had prayed countless times, could he start over? When Tu Van heard his silence she prodded, "Hello. Is it raining where you are? Why aren't you saying anything?" He swore that even if he had to pay with everything, even if it dragged him into endless hell. A gentle voice replied, "It's nothing." Tears streamed down Tu Tran's face mixing with the rain. It's been so long since I heard your voice." Tu Van, puzzled, said, "What are you talking about? Didn't we just talk on the phone yesterday? After my match we can meet. Wait for my good news. Bye." Tu Tran drenched himself in the rain as if to cleanse the dark past and welcome a new beginning. Now everything had truly begun again. The responsibility to protect his family drove him to train persistently. 3 more laps. Tu Tran vowed he would become stronger as fast as possible to protect all of this. Finally, he returned to the room late at night. His roommates were all asleep. 8 hours had passed since he returned to this era. Tu Tran entered the shower, gradually getting used to this younger body. Although his physical strength was still relatively weak, this was a perfect start. After changing, he remained lost in thought. Next, he had to solve the most important question. Tu Tran sat on the bed, worried about the current situation. To level up, he must enter the Wraiths, but the Wraiths are monopolized by the guilds. Aside from the nobles, most people have no chance to level up. How can he get access to the Wraith beasts? And that brutal nourishment power, what exactly is it? When he closed his eyes, the system's status suddenly transmitted. A crimson screen lit up, initializing core status, 70% progress bar filling. Brutal nourishment system, initialization complete. Tu Tran was now drifting in an undefined space. He opened his eyes wide, feeling as if he were falling freely. He flipped and landed safely. In front of him was a bleak, desolate place, and towering in the void was a sky-piercing pillar. Tu Tran couldn't help whispering, "Where is this? I'm not asleep, am I?" Looking at what was before him, Tu Tran realized it was a towering spire standing amid the gloomy expanse. What is this tower? From the muddy ground, monsters slowly rose up. They were little more than white bones, Tang Tiu, E-rank vengeful warriors. A system notification suddenly appeared, switching profession. He gasped, "Wraith beasts. Could this be inside the Wraiths?" The next update announced, profession change complete. Level 1, Tu Tran, electric assassin. Tu Tran immediately condensed a lightning blade in his hand. Though the situation was still unclear, first he had to deal with these nuisances. Additional electric assassin information updated. Phantom current, a surge of electricity runs through the body. In an instant, movement speed increases tenfold. Lightning blade concentrates electricity into a blade, increasing critical damage for attacks. Hitting a weak point causes a paralysis effect. The Tang Tiu mob lunged at him. Tu Tran struck the first one's weak point with the lightning blade. Immediately an update notification, received 3 Tang Tiu teeth. He single-handedly and nimbly wiped out the whole group. With his current strength, handling these E-rank monsters was still well within his capability. Everything felt terrifyingly real, nothing like a dream. Experience kept rising. System notice, level up. Level 2 right arrow level 3. Seeing the aura of light around his body, Tu Tran discovered the most important thing. I can gain experience and level up here. He opened the stats panel elated. All attributes increased by 5 points. He couldn't believe the boon he was receiving. I actually have an entire Wraith dungeon to grind alone. At that moment, Tu Tran encountered the Tang Tiu King, the leader of the monsters. He swung the lightning blade forcefully. Then I'll stay here and train properly. As soon as he defeated the leader, a notification rang out. Gained 320 experience points. Leveled up level 3 right arrow level 4. Obtained 18 Tang Tiu Fangs, 1 Tang Tiu Condensate. Tu Tran rejoiced inwardly. Boss monster experience is multiples higher than the small ones. In just a short while I've leveled twice. Suddenly the system announced, Devour available. He stared, unable to believe it. Reading those words, Tu Tran wondered, what does that mean? He slowly raised his hand. Could it be that the meaning of brutal nourishment is absorbing wraith creatures? The Tang Tiu king before him turned into a wisp of gas and was slowly sucked into his palm. System display devouring, devour complete. Gained Tang Tiu King vengeful warrior, cold bone physique, immunity to cold. In low temperature environments, all resistance attributes are increased. He was stunned, a wraith creature absorbed into a card. I can kill, then swallow an opponent, turning them into my own profession. Suddenly, Tu Tran realized a horrifying truth. Wasn't this the same process as earlier? When I absorbed the energy of Demon King Lamangayat. The scene of me absorbing the monster's energy was no different from the past. He finally understood that was the power of Demon King Lamangayat. The brutal nourishment power originally belonged to him, and I have seized it. Professions are born with inherent strengths and weaknesses. In other words, each person can normally possess only one profession. But now I hold two professions at the same time. If I can devour other wraith beasts, I could possess countless professions. Tu Tran couldn't help but wonder, why did I obtain this kind of power? He glanced at the tower behind him, and what is that wraith tower? Suddenly, a tremendous pressure pressed down, forcing his legs to buckle. Tu Tran was shocked. This overwhelming aura is, what the hell is happening? From the distance, a silhouette appeared, a deep voice echoed, you've finally arrived. I've been waiting for you here for a long time. It was a domain lord-level monster, and he knew your name, Tu Tran. The government ranks the combat power of awakeners and wraiths from lowest to highest. E right arrow D right arrow C right arrow B right arrow A right arrow S. He was forced backward by the creature's strength. Tu Tran clenched the lightning blade, thinking, last life I almost died trying to reach rank S, now my maximum combat rank is only D. But I'm facing an S rank boss, the level gap is huge, he completely overwhelms all my stats. What kind of wraith dungeon is this? Why is there an S rank wraith? And why does it know my names? While dueling the domain lord, Tu Tran realized he'd fought it for dozens of rounds. During that time, it had countless chances to kill him outright. But every attack avoided fatal weak points, repeatedly defeating him without finishing him off. He was blasted far away, struggling to crawl back up. The domain lord asked coldly, still struggling. Tu Tran realized the creature's purpose. It wanted to subdue him. The domain lord warned, you'd better reconsider the choices I've offered. Will you stay and guard this wraith tower with me? It's a rare opportunity. He refused outright, no matter what, I will never stay in this damned place. Suddenly, a surge of power shot up from the ground, sharp as a blade across his shoulder. Blood spattered everywhere. The domain lord nearly lost patience. Do you really think I won't kill you? Only because you're the only one who can get here have I been patient with you. He clutched his wounded arms, silently plotting. The domain lord unleashed immense energy, his strength and endurance surging. He gave Tu Tran one final chance. I ask you for the last time. A massive block of earth was lifted. Standing atop it, he arrogantly asked, stay here or shall I crush you to pulp? Tu Tran began to speak, I choose. His body crackled with lightning as he lunged at the opponent, to kill you. The domain lord hurled huge boulders at him, pathetic. Tu Tran nimbly landed on each rock, gradually closing the distance to the domain lord. He already had a plan. From the recent exchanges he'd noticed clearly that before each of its slashes there was a 0.4-second wind-up. He could use that window to observe the wrist's angle, determine the blade's trajectory, and dodge the edge. More importantly, after an attack it had 0.2 seconds to recover. If he targeted that lapse, he could strike while it was completely unguarded. Using the lightning blade, he aimed to pierce through its heart in an instant. He recalled the lightning blade's attributes. Concentrates electricity into a blade. Attacks gain a critical effect. Hitting a weak point can cause paralysis. Although a D rank can't kill an S rank, the paralysis effect unleashed at full force should at least incapacitate it for several seconds. Its speed is too fast, there wasn't enough time to create distance just now. But these few stolen seconds are enough for me to escape. Tu Tran accelerated toward the column of light in the distance. Throughout the battle, he had been scanning his surroundings. That single light was the only source. As his hand was about to touch the light, it suddenly vanished. Tu Tran was stunned. The light, it's gone. The domain lord sneered. Sorry, that was only an illusion I left behind. The exit you were looking for doesn't exist. This place is not a wraith dungeon at all. He continued, however, you quickly found the weakness in my attack. Interesting. Even when faced with desperate pressure, you calmly analyzed the situation and recklessly searched for a sliver of opportunity. You truly are someone who can bring hope. A final message rang out. This place is the Losat Purge Purgatory. Tutran stared in shock at the creature's bearing. That bearing, he'd seen it on Demon King Lamangayat. Ignoring it, Tutran immediately swung the lightning blade at Losat. He suddenly remembered it was in his previous life, during the final battle with Demon King Lamangayat. He had cycled through countless powerful professions. From a fire profession with devastating offensive firepower that incinerated everything, to a wood profession where vines became weapons that wrapped and attacked opponents. Then a thunder profession, releasing lightning around like a storm. Tutran thought to himself, I remember clearly. One of them was exactly this form, the current form of Losat. He looked at him coolly as at a defeated foe. Tutran realized the horrifying truth. In other words, he was once swallowed by Lamangayat's brutal nourishment power, and that power has now merged into me. He made a bold guess. Could it be that this place is actually inside my body? Losat exclaimed with admiration, not only is your combat ability outstanding, but your mind is exceptionally clever. He smiled, you deserve to take everything here. Tutran was amazed, everything here. A key suddenly appeared in Losat's hand. It emitted a faint light shimmering with ancient aura. He introduced it. This is the Time Rift Key SSS grade. It is the only key to open the Wraith Tower gate. Losat continued, Lamangayat swallowed countless vicious fiends. The strongest among them have been sealed inside the tower behind me. Devour them, grow without ceasing, and turn all of them into your power. The key hovered before him. Tutran reached out to take it. The system immediately notified, received, Time Rift Key. He asked, puzzled, why are you doing this? Why help me? Losat explained in a low, hate-filled voice, even among the demon clans there is right and wrong. The demon kings slaughtered my people for their selfish gain. I have been waiting for a chance to take revenge. Fortunately, I finally met you. He paused, then added, that one was not wrong. You are the only hope, only you can succeed. Tutran hurriedly asked, who is that one? Losat only reminded him and began to fade. The answers lie within this Wraith Tower. Go find them yourself. He left one last line, carry my power and find them to avenge us. Tutran, still not understanding, asked, carry your power. Losat's whole form gradually dissolved into smoke. Before he completely vanished, he said, from now on, you must become stronger. Open the Wraith Tower gate and devour everything inside the tower. The fiends there will show you no mercy like I did. They are the most cunning, vicious creatures in the world. But you must endure everything, you must defeat them all. You must stand atop the world. In the end, tear those demon kings to pieces. Only then will you be worthy. Using his last strength, Losat's body completely dissolved. Using his final power, Losat's body vanished entirely. A stream of pink energy rose from the ashes toward Tutran. He held out his hand to receive it. System update, level up. Level 13, right arrow, level 14. Received 2 Losat soulbones. Tutran clenched his fist, whispering like a vow. I understand, I will carry that part of you with me. Then he received a new card, Losat Purge Purgatory 100 Bone Returning Tomb. Absorbs the physical strength of corpses and surrounding power, converting them into oneself at corresponding ratios. 3 Command Rebirth. Alters gravity, attacking opponents in 3 forms, light, heavy, and ultra-heavy. Tutran clenched his fist and swore, I'll make them pay blood for blood. Now a new day began. Dawnlight streamed through the dormitory window. A familiar call rang in his ear, hurry up, get up everyone. Tutran sat bolt upright. The bed above had been neatly made. By the door, 2 friends surnamed Hang were in uniform, urging each other, use your time, don't be late, today we must wear school uniform. He blinked, have I, returned to the dorm. Tutran hurriedly checked the wound on his shoulder. The wound had fully healed. Could everything that happened have been a dream? But when he looked at the system panel, he had a clear answer. The system proved everything had truly happened. Moreover, all the spoils obtained in the dream now existed in reality. All that effort overnight and I leveled up to 10. What grade does that correspond to? The squad leader stepped up to him, leaning down to ask mockingly. Someone praised you last night, huh? You've gotten stronger now. You might even shake my position as the best in the dorm. Ma Long stood frozen, not daring to speak, only secretly urging on. Let's go, the rank evaluations are about to start. Let's see how many points and ounces you've got. The squad leader bought a loaf of bread, took a bite, then sneered. Our dorm seems to all be E rank, but don't forget each rank is split into tiers. You lot are just low E tier, I'm mid E tier. Between tiers the power gap is manyfold. With people like you I can fight 10 of you at once. Understand? Maybe since it's been 2 years without tests, my rank has increased too. Ma Long whispered a reminder. Tu Tran, later you need to show all your strength. Use that D rank to scare him to death. Tu Tran smiled and asked, D rank. Just as their group reached the assembly ground, the squad leader gasped in surprise. Oh. On the big stage, a sign read clearly, National Awakening University Rank Evaluation Ceremony. He looked curiously at the crowded students before him. Why is everyone here so early? Suddenly, servants of the palace city swaggered forward, pushing as they went. Move aside, don't touch this gentleman. The squad leader recognized the palace city's lackeys and hurriedly said, we should keep a little distance. But a cold voice from behind Tu Trans made him startle, his face going ashen. What are you looking at? He stood behind the squad leader, his expression icy cold. The two lackeys bristled like startled cats at the sight of Tu Tran. They simultaneously bowed 90 degrees. Big brother Tu Tran, you're here. The squad leader wondered, why are they so respectful to Tu Tran? Could Ma Long's words be true? Ma Long finally had his chance to gloat. Didn't I say so earlier? Tu Tran ignored them and walked on without a word. He stopped when someone blocked his path. Ditch, a student council officer, put his hands on his hips and taunted. I heard someone had a conflict with Palace City yesterday. Do you know he's the biological brother of Mr. Kung Din, our respected student council president? Those nearby whispered in fear. That's Ditch, a student officer. The squad leader couldn't believe it. Isn't Ditch one of their lackeys? He's a high D-rank elder. How is he connected to Tu Tran? But something about the atmosphere feels off. Ditch sneered, you know what, my hearing is extremely sensitive, I can sniff out the presence of a true powerhouse. He leaned close to Tu Tran's ear and whispered, but on you, there is only the smell of poverty from a lifetime at the bottom of society. His words hit like a bucket of cold water, freezing Ditch in place. Are you a dog? The man snapped angrily, what did you say? Kung Din stepped forward, his deep voice admonishing, Ditch, stop. He continued, projecting fairness. I've investigated the situation thoroughly. This incident was instigated by Palace City. Those who do wrong must pay the price, and that is deserved. Ditch withdrew his hostility and reluctantly bowed. Yes, President. He silently assessed Tu Tran across from him. Tu Tran remained cold, watching his opponent without flinching. From the stage, a teacher standing by the large testing machine announced, students, attention, the rank evaluation is about to begin. We will proceed in student card order. When your name is called, please come up to the stage in an orderly fashion. Kung Din turned to Ditch. Let's go prepare for the rank test. Ditch immediately put on a sycophantic air and ran after him. Yes, sir, he thought to himself. This Tu Tran doesn't look like a threat at all. On a nearby high building, Lin Vu stood watching the testing area below. Beside her, someone curiously asked, why are you so interested in watching the rank tests today? Found someone worth nodding. The other smiled. I predict this evaluation could be very interesting. An hour later, it was finally his room's turn. The announcement rang out, next for rank evaluation, Hang Ta. From below came cheers, come on, little brother Hang Ta. He stepped forward and slid his hand into the testing machine. Let's see my true strength. The testing machine activated. It would take a bit of time. The rank evaluation is conducted inside a specially designed Wraith container. Inside is the Ma core, an energy core capable of absorbing power. The Awakener must release all their energy before the Ma core. The energy perceived by the Ma core is transmitted outward through cables and finally displayed as data on the large screen. The final result appeared, rank mid-E tier. The teacher asked in surprise, recording complete, haven't the other data been published yet? Ma Long excitedly, it's out, next comes the most important part. Tu Tran thought, besides the current rank, it also measures another data point, potential. This is the highest rank this profession could reach in the future. Those with high potential are likely to receive special attention from the state. The final announcement appeared, test complete. Current rank mid-E tier, highest potential C. Hang Ta slumped away. Looks like my rank hasn't improved in 2 years. I thought I'd push into D, the teacher called next. Next for rank evaluation, Ma Long. Ma Long stepped forward to comfort his friend. Relax, little brother Hang Ta, we're even worse off. He said happily, you're not the only one who didn't make D, aren't we all the same? Next was Hang Yu, barrier, rank evaluation, low E tier. Potential, see then Hang Ta, barrier, rank evaluation, mid E tier. Potential, see Ma Long confidently, this school doesn't have many D ranks. Maybe this year there won't be any. Suddenly an announcement stunned the three, test complete. Current rank, low D tier, highest potential. Someone ran out in excitement, the whole hall buzzed. The first D rank of the year has appeared. A moment later, Kyuang Ditch emerged from the testing area. The announcement continued, test complete. Current rank, low D tier, highest potential. Ma Long covered his face, unable to look. That's already the 8th D rank. Two teachers discussed, so many D rank talents have appeared this year. Although they're all low tier, that's very good for students without combat experience. Indeed, usually a graduating class has at most 2 or 3 D rank students. Based on this trend, this year's graduation tests promise to be very interesting. An announcement rang out, next for rank evaluation. Kung Din calmly approached the testing machine. Everyone eagerly awaited. Finally, it's his turn. He was the student council president, also the Imperial Guild's noble scion, a chosen son with countless positions. Among them, Tu Tran waited quietly. Whispers rose nearby. I heard he only got D in the test 2 years ago. The highest rank measured so far in this cohort is low D. The highest rank in our school's history is mid D. I wonder how far he can go. The eye inside the testing room slightly opened when it saw someone enter. Kung Din's hand slowly reached toward the Ma Core. He thought to himself, only by showing full strength in the graduation combat test can one make the greatest splash. Right now I need to hold back some of my power. Even so, I will still be the top in the school's history. The rank and potential display gradually lit up in brilliant white and gold. The teacher asked curiously, that color. The final result appeared. Everyone gasped in horror and shouted, top D tier, peak potential S. Kyuang Ditch proclaimed, the record holder #1 in the school's history. No wonder he's the president, long live. Our school actually has someone with S tier potential. I'm so jealous. We've witnessed history. The teachers discussed, confirmed result, top D tier, S tier potential. Should we report directly to the higher-ups? Of course. One teacher explained, an awakener with S tier potential is a rare treasure worldwide. They require special attention and protection from the state. All the more so since he's a noble scion of the Imperial Guild. This news will surely make the front page of national bulletins. On the upper floor, the person beside Lin Vu praised, today's test really did produce talent. You already knew Kung Din was a potential S-tier candidate, right? No wonder you came to watch the show today. Lin Vu denied it softly, no, I didn't come because of him. She smiled faintly, eyes directed downward. I'm placing my trust in someone else. Compared to Kung Din, I have higher expectations for his performance. The announcement rang out clearly, next for rank evaluation, Tu Tran. The person Lin Vu had been waiting for finally reached his turn. Kyuang Ditch brushed past him, not forgetting to threaten, Brat, you better try your best to bring honor to our dorm. He sneered, when you get your result later, don't be a low E-tier, alright. Then your dorm will be full of 4 E-rank students from low to mid. Top of the school, what a joke. Kyuang Ditch mocked their whole room. You weaklings, when the graduation combat test comes you'll only be humiliated. Ma Long, full of confidence, shouted, just wait, Tu Tran will definitely make you open your eyes. On stage, he stepped through the testing gate. Outside, Hang Ta asked worriedly, Tu Tran, can he really do it? He calmly approached the eye suspended by the tangled cables. It opened slightly, watching the next person enter. Tu Tran's eyes glowed a fierce red. His hand reached forward. More than anyone, he understood. In this era, the best path for an awakener to advance is to join a high-level guild. For most people, the only chance to show their strength to top guilds is the graduation combat test. This test allows up to 10 people per team. Contestants can freely choose members. The winning team will have all its members selected and directly recruited by top Imperial guilds nationwide. Therefore, the test not only determines rank, but also plays a crucial role in deciding each person's future. Outside, Kyuang Ditch was enthusiastically introducing, Boss, this is Ngan Lam, low D tier. He rattled on, now our 10-person team is complete. All 9 low D tier members are on our team. Once Kung Than, your younger brother, joins, our team will surely top the graduation combat test. The final MVP will definitely be the student council president. Tu Tran understood this principle. This was the team selection for the graduation combat test. In such conditions, a strongest team will form, along with the weakest team. The strong band together, the weak are pushed aside and eliminated. It's the immutable law of survival. Ma Long waited so long his eyes twitched. How long has Tu Tran been in there? There's still nothing on his screen. Why's there no sign of anything? Someone sneered. Tu Tran's power is probably too weak to register a rank. The test is basically over. Let's go back to the dorm. Kuang Ditch urged. The rest are surely trash. You don't need to wait. Our team is full. Let's go find a karaoke. Kung Din called the team members to assemble. Suddenly, the front display began to update. Tu Tran's rank appeared top D tier. The announcement left everyone stunned into silence. Ma Long shouted excitedly, top D tier. Look, I told you so before, wasn't I right? Kuang Ditch was in utter shock. What, top D tier? A reminder announcement sounded inside, rank evaluation complete. Result, top D tier. The program detected the Ma core is unstable. The test result may be inaccurate. The contestant is requested to retake the test. Tu Tran calculated. I just used my normal body without changing profession. It seems the base strength of level 10 is equivalent to top D tier. The display updated, changing profession change complete. He was now flipping the Tang Zio King card. Tu Tran was impatient. Next I'll test with my weakest current profession a bit. Outside, the place displaying his rank was changing. It showed mid-C tier. This shocked everyone even more. What's happening? Tu Tran's rank increased again. Kuang Ditch felt he'd opened his eyes to the wrong world today. C tier, that's absurd. There must be something wrong. Even the teacher couldn't understand. I've never seen this before. Where's the system failing? The announcement reminded again. The program detected the Ma core is unstable. The test result may be inaccurate. The contestant is requested to retake the test. Tu Tran continued to try, confident. Then both of my remaining professions should rate above C. The display kept updating, changing profession change complete. Finally, he flipped the card of the infernal Lasat. Now I'll test my maximum power a bit. The card showing Lasat's information appeared. The testing eye suddenly bulged as if overloaded. It instantly transformed into a swirling vortex of gas. A tornado carrying roaring lightning power rose up into the sky. The students, seeing the sky blacken like the apocalypse, panicked. What is this situation? Hangyu clasped his hands and prayed. A heavenly omen. Today will surely be recorded in our dormitory's history. A world-shaking great man will appear. His rank and potential display continued to change. The final announcement, potential S tier. The teacher gaped, another S tier potential. Kung Din also stared tensely without looking away. Due to overload, the system issued a warning. The S on the screen began to fade, accompanied by a mechanical message. Warning, system error. 3 S's repeatedly appeared on the screen. Potential score cannot be measured. Exceeded system maximum load. The teacher's face turned purple as a boiled liver. The screen had exploded, shattering into pieces. He hurriedly ran inside. Danger, the Ma core is overloaded, go check it. The students didn't know what was happening. The 2 teachers ran in after him. The teacher asked, student, are you all right? Coming up beside Tu Tran, the teacher froze, staring at what was below. That eye had withered, gone gray. The teacher, shocked, the Ma core is dead. He sat down to examine it. Could it be from being used too long today? Tu Tran looked at the display and thought, I may have overexerted and killed the Ma core, but it did give me a pleasant surprise. A new announcement updated, devour successful. Ma core, Ling Lung's rank A can detect threat power levels within a 100 m radius. If a threat is detected within range, it will issue a danger alert. Tu Tran himself was surprised. The devour power really can devour even a Ma core's power. He calmly stepped out of the testing gate. Tu Tran's eyes flashed a green light. The Ma core Ling Lung was activating. He swept his gaze across the people on the field. Rank indicators appeared above their heads. Tu Tran thought with relief, now I can see everyone's ranks, this is convenient. He saw Kung Din at mid-C tier. So Kung Din had been hiding his true power. Mid-C tier, nothing special. At that moment the teacher stepped out and cleared his throat. What a pity. The Ma core seems to have expended too much and suddenly died. Today's test must be suspended. The trial data from 2-tran may be erroneous. We will report this to the higher-ups. Students not yet tested can return tomorrow. We'll prepare a new device. The group hurried over to 2-tran, cheering and flattering. I don't care, the data must be accurate. Our 2-tran is definitely a genius, a great man. What do you want to eat today, or should we head back to the dorm? Kyung-ditch recovered his composure and sneered. I told you, how could a loser like you reach C-tier, and an S-tier potential too? Clearly the testing device malfunctioned. He criticized, now you've destroyed the Ma core and want to leave. Isn't that irresponsible? You forced the other students to come back tomorrow for testing. Can you make up for that wasted time? Electricity faintly shimmered in 2-tran's palm. He grew cold at heart. This person will never stop, maybe incapacitate him. Behind him Kung-din scowled and warned, Kyung-ditch, step back, don't mistreat our teammate like that. Upon hearing that, the man fell silent as if struck by a pressure point. Kung-din smiled and extended his hand in invitation. 2-tran, join my team. Let's participate in the graduation combat test together. The highest score in history will surely be ours. 2-tran coldly looked at the hand reaching toward him. Onlookers from afar were stunned. Kung-din, he's personally inviting 2-tran to join his team. Kyung-ditch feared inwardly. If this guy joins, someone on the team will have to be kicked out. How do I explain that to the others? Joining Kung-din's team means certain top placement in the graduation test. No matter how many bribes or favors my brothers pull, we can't get in. What does he rely on? Before he could figure out a counter, Kung-din spoke himself, calm but confident. Join my team. We'll enter the graduation combat test together. The highest score in history will surely belong to us. Kyung-ditch's hand trembled as he prepared to place it on 2-tran's shoulder to show goodwill. He forced a smile worse than a cry. If that's the case, welcome to the team. Zleb. 2-tran brusquely brushed that hand away, voice as cold as ice. Not interested. Kyung-ditch was stunned, not expecting such a flat rejection. Kung-din slightly frowned at the unexpected action. Kyung-ditch immediately flew into a rage, pointing and roaring. Do you even know what you're saying? Our team's strength is #1 in the whole school. 2-tran cut him off, voice unshaken. None of my business. You're too loud, don't bother me again. He turned and said coldly to Ma Long and Hangyu, let's go home. Kyung-ditch behind them was so furious his face flushed purple, teeth gritting. Those nearby whispered, 2-tran actually dared to refuse Kung-din. Does he have that nerve? That's the student council president. Or does he want to claim #1 himself? Anyway, his test result is mid-C tier, looks like there'll be a good show later. Ma Long and Hangyu whispered, did you see their expressions? They look like they want to kill him. He was so arrogant in front of us a moment ago. 2-tran is too brave. Kung-din smiled faintly, voice calm. It's fine. It seems our brother 2-tran has his own way of thinking. From the top of the high-rise. Yuan Lung sighed with regret. What a pity. Those two can't form a team. I was hoping we could set a new record this year. Lin Vu replied nonchalantly, this actually makes things more interesting. From birth, Kung-din has had a golden spoon in his mouth. This refusal is a direct challenge. Our student council president, he's not someone easy to deal with. On the field, Kyung-ditch continued angrily. Only a testing error could make him stand out, and he really thinks he's C-tier. Kung-din coldly watched 2-trans retreating back and lowered his voice. What if the test wasn't wrong? Even if there's a 1 in a million chance, I absolutely can't let anyone else take my #1 spot. He grabbed Kyung-ditch's collar, voice deepening. In any case, he's just an inexperienced student in real combat. We're the elites who have secretly followed you into countless real fights with wraiths. Kyung-ditch quickly nodded vigorously, eyes flashing with ferocity. How about I take your place and teach him a lesson? Kung-din frowned, you really think I'm that petty? Kyung-ditch hastily denied, no, not at all, I didn't mean that. Kung-din let go and turned to leave. I'm not in the mood for singing and dancing today, you and the members arrange yourselves. Then he deliberately added, whatever you do, it won't involve me. Kyung-ditch grinned, immediately catching the implication. I understand, it won't concern you in the slightest. A while later, Kyung-ditch received word from a subordinate. Brother Kyung, 2-tran is not on campus. The subordinate kowtowed and answered, yes, sir, I just eavesdropped. He said he wanted to go home for a bit, he left campus before even eating. Kyung-ditch rejoiced, heaven is really helping me. Outside the school will be the perfect place for me to deal with him heavily. Tu Tran was strolling home at an easy pace. At that moment, memories from his past life flooded back. A Peak Guild expedition, while raiding a demonic lair in the territory of the Sacred River Nation, ran into an unexpected event. Inside the lair, they encountered a powerful fiend never seen before. Rampage, the entire guild expedition was wiped out. Rampage emerged from the lair and descended into the mortal world. That was all the information he had from his previous life. In this life, to quickly pinpoint the exact location of the lair where Rampage resided, he devised a plan. And to carry out that plan, Tu Tran stopped in front of the Bihungan Demon Goods Exchange. He knew he needed a large sum of money. Bihungan would become the largest demon goods exchange in the country in the future. Weapons and gear are the key factors that determine and awaken his strength. The exchange was the essential hub for buying and selling equipment, and the fastest way for him to make money right now. Tu Tran placed a few Tang Tio fangs on the counter. The clerk picked them up to inspect them, surprised. "Where did you, a student, get these?" Tu Tran replied briefly, "Dropped by a demon." He asked curiously, "Why have I never seen these before?" The female clerk leaned in and whispered, "If I remember correctly, this is an item dropped by a cloud-type Tang Tio beast, grade E. A Tang Tio fang. Records show Tang Tio fangs can be made into a cloud-type staff grade E or ground into powder." He cut her off. All right, stop lecturing. What can an E-grade item even make? Our exchange caters to VIP customers. Participants are all awakened with status and high standing. Everything I sell is high-end, grade D or above. It's normal that I wouldn't know about these petty E-grade trinkets. He thought to himself, high-tier customers have been too few lately. At this rate, when will I be promoted to manager? How unlucky, always running into troublesome people who bring no profit. Better off passing them to the new staff. He left his post and called out, "Hey Zio Li, handle the rest of his transaction. Do it well, I'm counting on you." The female clerk took the money and handed it to Tu Tran. "Here's your money, sir. Do you need any further assistance?" Tu Tran looked at the bill, 10,000, enough for the room rent for now. He withdrew a massive greatsword from his storage space and placed it on the counter. "Next, please appraise this weapon for me." The female clerk exclaimed in awe, "A greatsword so cool." She glanced over and remarked, "Although I've never seen one like this before, I feel it must be at least rank B, no, maybe even rank A." The earlier clerk returned, glanced briefly and scoffed. "Rank A, what are you thinking? A grade weapons on the market cost 1 million. How long have you worked here and never handled one?" Someone intervened from a distance, calm yet authoritative. "You're right, this is obviously not a B or A grade piece of equipment." The clerk immediately kowtowed. "It's the boss's keen eye as always." The man who had spoken looked at the greatsword and said softly, "This clearly comes from hell, an S-rank piece of equipment." The two clerks cried out in alarm, "S-rank." The owner Thankai hurriedly grabbed Tu Tran's hand. With an unusually enthusiastic tone, "Welcome, esteemed customer, honored that you came. Please follow me to the VIP room." He led him away, saying as they walked, "Tell me if you have any requests." Tu Tran rejoiced inwardly, finally it has appeared. Thankai, this man was Thankai, the owner of the Bihungan Guild Exchange. After they sat down at the tea table, Thankai asked, "May I ask, do you have any plans for this equipment?" Tu Tran replied in a single sentence, 1 million. The answer surprised Thankai, only 1 million. You must know A-rank equipment on the market reaches hundreds of thousands to millions. An S-rank weapon like this would be worth at least tens of millions. It's priceless, thousands would fight over it. On the other side, despite the warning, the protagonist remained firm. "I want to use this S-rank equipment as collateral to borrow 1 million. I'll reclaim it in a month." The more he heard, the more astonished Thankai became. He thought to himself, using an S-rank item as collateral, could that idea come from an ordinary university student? It seemed he didn't want to sell the equipment but intended to use it himself later. Mature beyond his years and capable of obtaining such a true relic, is he a runaway heir or a hidden super genius? In any case, this person is definitely not ordinary. Unaware of his thoughts, the protagonist continued with his terms, "Just 1 month. When the time comes, I'll immediately pay it back. I'll also pay an extra 10% interest after a month. How about that?" At this, Thankai didn't rush to agree. He ordered the girl beside them, "Zio Li, please step outside for a moment." After she left, Thankai changed his expression and said, "If I'm not mistaken, The place you study must be the National Awakener Academy. Moreover, studying at the National Awakener Academy involves an annual practical graduation test. This year's test will take place in a month, and the first place prize happens to be 1 million, which exactly matches the amount you're borrowing. I boldly guess you've already secured first place in the exam. Tutran remained silent, simply watching him quietly. Thankai stood and continued his conjecture. Clearly you'll receive the prize in a month, yet you're rushing to pawn a valuable item to borrow money now. That means you truly need the money immediately, and you've likely been driven into a corner to resort to this, right? If that's the case, I can lend you 1.5 million in cash right away, and for 1 month the interest will be 0. Consider it me befriending you, he said cheerfully, the man's generosity. Left Tutran looking dazed, unsure what to say. Thankai winked mischievously and assured him, rest assured I'll absolutely keep today's matters confidential. However, if you have any future transaction needs, please consider using our exchange first. I'll give you the best possible discount. How does that sound? Turning to Tutran, he couldn't help but admire Thankai's discernment. He thought, from so little information he deduced my situation and needs, very clever. Upon learning my hardship instead of exploiting it, he offered better terms to seek long-term cooperation. No wonder he'll turn Bingen into a global exchange someday. If he wanted to defeat Rampage, he couldn't rely on just himself. So first he needed to find some trustworthy partners to cooperate with. Cheerfully, he shook hands with him. Next, after signing a contract, Tutran's account immediately received 1.5 million. Thankai smiled and said, the contract is complete and the money has been transferred to your bank account. Saying this as if remembering something, he reminded him, also, since you've pawned such a fine weapon, what will you use for the graduation test? Do you need me to lend you some equipment? Although we don't have S-rank gear right now, we do have plenty of high-end equipment, B-rank and even A-rank. In response, Tutran politely declined, no need. I still have another one of that kind of weapon. With that he produced a blade identical to the previous one. The fact that Tutran owned 2 S-rank weapons at once made the 3 bystanders break out in a cold sweat. Oh my god, what is this? Someone shouted. Luckily Thankai quickly regained his composure and saw the protagonist off, truly a hero emerging in youth. Then he turned to his 2 shouting subordinates. Thanks to Xiao Li securing this precious guest, promote her immediately to front shop manager. Ahead as Tutran was walking he suddenly stopped and said, oh right. I want to buy something, it's unknown what he purchased. Time passed after leaving the exchange. Tutran went to the long-distance train station of Thuong County, looking at the scene before him. He quietly reflected, in his past life money had tormented him for a long time. Back then he had just graduated and hadn't awakened, so no one would hire him. I had to do all sorts of odd jobs to earn enough to pay rent and living expenses. I had to live as frugally as possible. Even when I received an admission notice from the International Central Academy of Arts, I quietly tore it into pieces for fear of becoming a burden to my family. So my younger sister even gave up her dream of attending high school and returned to reality. Tutran looked left and right as if searching for something. It wasn't early anymore. Shouldn't Tiu Van already be waiting here? Suddenly a familiar voice called from behind him, hey bro. I've told you a few times, to pick someone up you go to the exit not the entrance. Are you so busy you're out of your mind again? Tu Van scolded as she dragged her suitcase. The familiar figure made Tutran's eyes freeze. But Tiu Van didn't seem to notice anything strange and continued complaining. Big brother, why don't you help me carry the luggage? Hey big brother, why are you spacing out? She called again, seeing Tutran not respond. The protagonist suddenly pulled his sister into a tight hug, which left the girl slightly flustered. For some reason only Tutran knew the truth. 7 years had passed and he had finally reunited with her. Tiu Van, he thought to himself. His affectionate actions angered his sister. She jabbed 2 fingertips hard into his rib. Hey, are you trying to squeeze your sister to death? Why have you been acting so weird the past 2 days? Were you rejected by some girl after confessing? She said this as she tossed the bag to Tutran. He replied awkwardly, no, it's nothing. Then hurry up and go home. Tiu Van shouted. With that, the 2 siblings cheerfully headed home. From behind, Tutran watched his sister's figure with tender eyes. He silently vowed to himself, in this life I will never let my sister suffer any injustice again. In another development, Kyuang Dich was quietly plotting against Tu Tran and Tiu Van. He instructed his underlings. This is the road that Brat Tu Tran always takes home on. We will ambush and once he shows himself, attack him immediately for us. We must make him taste a bit of the consequences of provoking me. Beside him, a henchman hurriedly intervened. Leader Kyuang Dich, many brothers from the student association are here. If we go too far, won't that give him something to complain about? But Kyuang Dich nearly snarled. I only plan to teach him a lesson, but that brat's attitude is intolerable. Those bottom-tier E-rank scum think they're C-rank, how dare they touch my stuff? As for him, I'll make sure he can't take the graduation exam in 2 weeks. I am one of the school's top-tier cloud system assassins. One of a kind, I'll eliminate that boastful kid. As he spoke, he pulled out a mysterious dagger and turned toward Tu Tran and Lam and Guyat's position. While they moved, Tiu Van couldn't help worrying about her brother. Big brother, you've been acting weird these past 2 days. Is it the pressure from the upcoming graduation test? After all, a homebody like you shouldn't be so distracted by emotions. Brother, no matter what, pull yourself together. Didn't you once tell me, life is long, opportunities will come soon? What was that song, Believe in Yourself and? She sang cheerfully, her carefree manner bringing a bit of joy to Tu Tran. He thought, Tiu Van's perception is sharp, she noticed something different as soon as we met. Right now she doesn't know I've awakened, so she still thinks we're living frugally as before. Thinking that, he smiled and said, I'm really fine, Tiu Van. Contrary to his thoughts, his sister was full of suspicion. Is he staying silent out of male pride? Men start building walls around themselves at a certain age. Yeah, the books were right. Looks like Big Brother has reached that age. At that moment behind them, Kyuang Dich's group was silently trailing them. One of them, once he identified the targets, said, Leader, that brat has a younger sister with him. Hearing that, Kyuang Dich's eyes lit up with delight. Isn't that perfect? This alley has no cameras. Brothers, we're in luck this time. He said cheerfully, unaware that at that very moment Tu Tran had sensed the presence of the whole group. This aura. That group were members of the student association. And yet they dared to come all the way here. Without hesitation, he took out a pair of earphones and placed them into his sister's ears, instructing her. Tiu Van, there's a song I've been listening to a lot lately. Just play it on repeat. Listen for a bit, okay? She didn't suspect anything. Oh, since when did you start liking music? After she said that, she thought, not bad, music can convey a person's emotions. Then let me understand you a little, Big Brother. Turning back to Tu Tran, while Tiu Van enjoyed the music, he prepared to deal with Kyuang Dich's men. In his eyes, the combat rankings of Kyuang Dich's group immediately appeared above their heads. While Tiu Van was still listening to music, the armed men simultaneously lunged forward to attack. The protagonist began to rage. He reminded himself, in his previous life in 2160 I lost my last family member. In 2167 I was reborn and returned. Finally I met my sister again. This is after 7 years that I was reunited with my family. How dare you come here and cause trouble? Instantly he charged straight at the leader, sending the man's body flying backward like a torn sack. But it wasn't over. Immediately, Tu Tran focused his power into his fist, aiming at some long-haired guy, leaving him utterly panicked. Before that guy could react, the protagonist moved like lightning and instantly took him down along with 2 men behind him. He drove a knee straight into the red-shirted man's body, sending him flying backward. Another man in black, seeing this, clenched his fist and rushed in. However, his punch was easily caught by Tu Tran. Next, he quickly delivered an elbow strike that shattered the black-shirted man's forearm. The pain made him break down in tears. My arm, he stammered. Before he could finish, he took a full fist to the face. His body flew backward like a cannonball. By now, Kyuang Dich could no longer keep his composure. Panic filled him. What the hell? What's wrong with this kid? Why is he so strong? Number 54 asked as he saw Tu Tran sprint toward him. Tu Tran continued to exploit his strength and speed, quickly unleashing punches that knocked out all the henchmen. Finally, riding that fierce momentum, he came right up to him. In front, the gang leader was utterly terrified. He shouted to steel himself, I am a top-tier cloud system assassin. You think you can beat me? With the words, he thrust the dagger in his hand forward. But Tu Tran's punch was much faster. With a single blow, he knocked Kyuang Dich's face askew and sent him flying like a dead dog. Not stopping there, Tu Tran used his speed to close in while the man was still airborne, and delivered a finishing punch straight to his chin. It left his teeth and lips in disarray. Once again, his battered body spun away like a top, until he crashed into something and finally came to a stop. At this point, Kyuang Ditch's vision had grown blurry. The protagonist then stepped in front of him and spoke in a dangerous tone. "I clearly told you not to provoke me. Do you not understand human language?" Over here, Kyuang Ditch was so frightened he felt like he might piss himself. Regret flooded him. "My bones are shattered, my legs numb. The test results were real. Tu Tran, he is absolutely not D-rank." Thinking that, he weakly said, "Sorry." Not allowing him another word, the protagonist dragged him close, pressed a knife to his face and warned, "Shut up, say one more word and I'll kill you." Tu Tran's decisive action made Kyuang Ditch even more terrified. His eyes did not lie, he truly would kill him. He was plainly just a student. Why did he radiate such murderous intent? What exactly is his background? Kyuang Ditch thought in panic. Before Tu Tran glared and warned him again. "Next, every word I say you must remember well. Do whatever you want, stink all you like, but don't bother me anymore. If any of you dare threaten my sister's safety again. No, even if you just show up within my sister's sight, I'll count one against each of you. I won't hesitate to make them disappear permanently, understand?" Faced with his threat, Kyuang Ditch could only whine and nod in agreement. Seeing that, the protagonist was satisfied, casually tossed the dagger aside and turned to leave. Meanwhile, his sister Tiu Van remained unaware of what had just happened and simply enjoyed the song. Suddenly, tears streamed down her face, a deep loneliness washed over her. Why does this song make me want to cry? It's only been a few days, yet he acts like he's been through so much. Is he really that lonely? Haven't I always been with him? Thinking this, Tiu Van pulled out the earphones and shouted back, "Brother, this is too annoying." Behind her, the protagonist stood there with a smile. He produced a small pen case and said, "Tiu Van, here's a gift for you." Looking at the golden pen gleaming, Tiu Van's eyes widened in surprise. "Is this a mana-infused writing instrument? It's the latest model released by Doreg Corporation. This must cost tens of thousands. Where did you get it? Should we return it? This is expensive. I don't really deserve it," she said awkwardly, though her face betrayed delight. Tu Tran, meanwhile, silently vowed to himself, "In my last life I couldn't protect you well. And I failed to safeguard your dreams. In this life I'll protect everything of yours." Behind them, the thugs who'd been beaten were trying to clamp their mouths shut to stifle any cries of pain, fearing they would attract Tu Tran's attention. Time passed quickly. Cut to Tu Tran's home. Tiu Van was trying out the new pen, drawing a purple fish in the air. "This is so useful. It can create 3D images from thin air." Nearby, Tu Tran ate noodles and replied cheerfully, "As long as you like it, Tiu Van, your egg noodles are still the best." Turning to Tiu Van, though pleased, she was slightly regretful, "But we still have to pay the room rent. You're spending like this." "Don't let your sister say more," Tu Tran interrupted. "I've already paid this year's rent in full." The news left Tiu Van stunned. Tu Tran realized he'd slipped up and quickly explained, "Ah well, I and a friend did some small business and made a bit of money." His lie couldn't easily convince Tiu Van. Big brother is basically terrible at lying. Suspicious. Great, now he has secrets from me too. But that happy expression hadn't been seen on his face for a long time. Thinking that, she gently placed her hand on Tu Tran's shoulder and asked softly, "Could it be? Brother, whatever you've been through, don't force yourself." Tu Tran turned, silently nodded in agreement. In another scene, inside a room, Kung Din's voice rang out. He was seriously injured this time. 6 parts of his bones are completely shattered. Even the best healers can't restore him fully within a month. I didn't expect he'd actually go after Tu Tran and end up like this. Nearby, Lin Vu sipped her tea cheerfully and replied, "Looks like he'll miss the graduation exam." Hearing her, Kung Din seemed unconcerned. "It's fine. My team only lost a redundant member whose skills are inferior to others." At the same time, a man also entered the room. His name was Kung Hyan, director of the Career Development Office at the National Awakened University. He said, "It's that name again, Tu Tran. I've confirmed the internal grading results. He really is C rank. He's the only one in the entire school with a rank higher than you." At those words, even Kung Din couldn't help but glance over in surprise. Seeing this, Kung Hyan continued to explain, This time your father invited the vice president of the alliance to attend your graduation performance in person, so nobody can steal your spotlight. But if it's truly impossible, then I'll just arrange for my granddaughter to take the vacant spot in the Kung Palace team. In response, Kung Din said something that surprised Kung Hyan. Uncle, you're overthinking. Do they really think you used your full strength when evaluating me? Don't worry, wait until the live combat test. I'll show everyone who the strongest truly is. Cut to Tu Tran. While showering, he reviewed his schedule to himself. Today's 100 km weighted training is complete. The immediate financial issue is resolved. Things are going smoothly. After graduation, I can start planning officially. The next task is to successfully win the first place prize of 1 million from the graduation exam and pay off Than Kai's debt. The contract with Than Kai must be honored. In short, I still need his help for many things later. There's 1 month left until the exam. I need to raise several ranks more. With that, Tu Tran once again closed his eyes. The system screen announced, system starting, violent system initializing. The familiar red scene appeared before Tu Tran. He slowly moved toward the tall tower, his mind racing. Previous test results showed that the Tang Zio Wang career, my weakest, can reach C rank. As for the Ma Sat Lion and Guk profession, its rank failed to display successfully. Although Ma Sat Lion and Guk is S rank, I couldn't fully utilize its power before, so I don't know how much strength I can release. Therefore, the ranks for the other two professions remain unclear. Thinking this, he took out a key, the Time Rift Key, SSS rank, a key used to open the Demon Tower gate. The moment the key appeared, the gate before him slowly opened. I should test it out today. I wonder what the scene inside the Demon Tower will be like. With that, he quickly stepped inside, when he emerged at the other end. The sight before Tu Tran made him a little surprised as he said, "This place is." After stepping out from the gate, Tu Tran found himself in a place called the Drunken Star Wasteland. The moment he set foot on this land, his whole body suddenly sank as if something heavy pressed down on him. He coughed violently and kept saying, "The gravity here is insanely intense. The entrance gate has vanished. We probably have to defeat this floor's boss to reopen it. In an environment like this, I can at most use 30% of my strength. I need to figure out how to adapt quickly to this place." That was Tu Tran's calculation. However, right ahead of him, the silhouette of a purple lion appeared. It was an illusory life lion. Seeing his opponent appear, Tu Tran immediately switched his vocation to assassin with the electric attribute. He clenched a bolt of lightning in his hand, stared at the foe and muttered, "Are you the enemy of this guy?" Across from him, the illusory life lion said nothing and lunged to attack at once. Luckily, Tu Tran reacted swiftly. He ducked and slid forward, easily dodging the attack. Immediately after, he used the skill Madness Strike, turning to attack with blinding speed. Tu Tran kept reminding himself, "My body is too heavy, this has to be a quick, decisive fight." With his overwhelming speed, Tu Tran drove the lightning bolt straight at the lion's neck. However, since he missed the weak point, the paralysis effect failed. Tu Tran's eyes widened in surprise, missed the hit. The high gravity here severely affects my speed and accuracy. The assassin vocation almost lost its advantage, but this monster is so composed and relaxed. Is this the level of monsters in the Demon Tower's purgatory? Thinking that, Tu Tran reached forward to block its bite, and quickly switched his vocation to Purgatory Spectre. Purple flames began to rise from his body, then I'll switch to Purgatory Spectre. The core advantages of each vocation are different. Bare-handed melee doesn't have to rely only on a soldier's extra strength and immense stamina. Stack gravity to the max and raise the impact force to the highest. With the boost from this vocation, Tu Tran immediately struggled free. He slammed the illusory life lion's body down into the ground, cracking the earth into many fragments. Not stopping there, he poured power into his fist. In this already high-gravity environment, the force of his punch increased by 60-fold. Below, the illusory life lion seemed to feel fear. Then Tu Tran's earth-shattering fist descended straight down. He shouted, "Don't think you can stop me. This is the skill of Star Battle Germination Triple General Gravity Cataclysm in ultra-heavy mode." With the punch's force, the ground was churned beyond recognition. Time passed quickly when the dust settled. On the surface lay a deep crater, and the illusory life lion's head had been smashed to paste. The system announced, "You obtained the illusory life lion's bone. You received 12,000 experience points. Level increased from 10 to 11. Over here, the protagonist lay panting like a beast, thinking non-stop. Each star on a vocation card represents one stat increment. The more stars, the greater the intensity after switching vocations. Purgatory Spectre has more stars, so its overall boost is higher. The post-switch power rating should be slightly above Electric Assassin. But I just had to go all out against a B-rank monster. It seems these two vocations of mine still can't surpass B-rank yet. At that point, 2-Trans suddenly felt a chill as he realized something. Come to think of it, why didn't the system show that I could absorb anything after killing the monster this time? Moreover, the gate to the next floor didn't appear. Could it be that? A dangerously dark thought began to form in his mind. Sure enough, as predicted, a spatial rift appeared right behind the protagonist. From within, pairs of gleaming eyes could be seen staring at 2-Tran. 2-Tran hurriedly turned, slightly panicked. Could the real boss still not have appeared? Was that thing I risked my life to deal with just a random monster? At the same time, countless illusory life lions began lunging out of the rift at extreme speed. Before 2-Tran could react, one bit down hard on his arm. The other seized the chance and pounced, tearing at him without stop. In that moment, 2-Tran finally understood the true meaning of the words. Purgatory Spectre says, once the gate opens, what fills it will be endless suffering, but you must endure it all. You must conquer everything. After who knows how long, our protagonist suddenly sat bolt upright in bed. His body drenched in sweat from the tension. The pains he had just endured seemed to remain. Torn muscles, dislocated bones, the dream's agony felt terrifyingly real. There are no shortcuts to getting stronger. This lonely, arduous road to the abyss is only beginning. Time passed quickly. Today is Friday, May 20, 2157 at the Great Hall of the National Awakened University. All students are present here. Of course, Kung Hyan, as the head of the affairs office, could not be absent. Among the students, a brown-haired guy spoke up. Hey everyone, heard the Alliance's senior officers are coming to watch the graduation combat exam in person. Those beside him realized, no wonder the graduation exam rules were all changed this year. In past years, there were no minimum requirements for team size or ranks, but this time each team must have at least 5 members and at least one must be high-grade E. Someone else asked. Huh, is that to make it more entertaining? Who knows, someone answered. Turning to Kung Hyan, as if it were time, he stepped forward to speak. All students of this cohort have been assigned to your wristbands. Please check your wristbands and quickly form your teams. Upon hearing this, everyone hurriedly checked their wristbands. A holographic display showing names and ranks appeared. But Long's friend soon noticed something odd and quickly said, "Oh, that's not right. 2-Tran, how are you only low-grade E?" Not just them, even the other students noticed and whispered among themselves. Huh, that 2-Tran, he showed C rank during testing, so why is he now low-grade E? Murmurs started, so the testing machine must have been broken before. Damn, if I hadn't joined Kung Din's team, I'd have paired with 2-Tran, who knew he's only low-grade E. Now it's great, no one will want to team with him. The graduation exam is so important, who wants to carry low-rank baggage? That 2-Tran refused Kung Din's invite back then. He must be regretting it to death now. Over here, Kung Din's sister said nothing, staring intently at her uncle. Kung Hyan also broke into a smug smile, thinking to himself, my estranged grandson, when will he learn how to truly exploit power and human nature? Let me teach him, his opponent won't even have the right to compete. Ignoring the murmuring crowd, the teacher's reminder rang out. Students, please keep the time in mind and form your teams quickly. As expected, right after that, 8 students rushed to Kung Din begging to join his team. President Kung Din, please let me join your team, pick me. President, I'm a third-year student, I promise I won't hold you back. Captain, my medic Zhang and Jeep can definitely help the team a lot. Great President, please let me be your underling. The pleas continued until one of Kung Din's followers, annoyed, shouted, shut up, back off, we can only add one person at most. Time flew. Half an hour later, most people had formed teams successfully and were cheering themselves on. Only 2-Tran's group was still struggling, unable to find enough members. Over here, Ma Long sighed in frustration and asked, we've gone through several rounds and no one will join us. A friend beside him grabbed his head and complained, we only need 4 more people. Are we really going to be excluded from the graduation exam? Turning to Ma Long, his friend quickly sensed something shady. This is weird. Why is 2-Tran only showing the lowest rank? Registration needs 5 people and at minimum there should be a high grade. It seems like they're deliberately targeting our dorm. From the protagonist's viewpoint, he silently analyzed the situation. The graduation combat exam is everyone's only chance to show themselves. If a team scores high, they have a better shot at good jobs. At the final evaluation moment, the number of demon creatures in the haunted area depends on team size, but more people doesn't necessarily mean it's easier to score high. That's why everyone squeezes to join Kung Din's strong team, and no one wants to join a low-ranked team. The three lowest-ranked students in the school are all low-grade E's and live in our dorm, if things keep going like this. At that moment, a tempting voice suddenly called out, "Hey, rookie. Our team is short one member. Join us. You surely don't want to be stuck with that trash team of three low-grade E dormmates, do you? Otherwise, you won't even have the right to take the graduation evaluation." His words made Tran's expression grow serious. He thought to himself, if this continues, the three of us low-grade E's will very likely be abandoned. In the end, we'll even lose the right to participate. Then unexpectedly, the rookie gave a surprising answer. "I'm really sorry. Our dormmates already agreed to form a team. I won't abandon my dormmates." The inviter snapped angrily. "Fine, whatever. We just needed you to make up the numbers and you refuse us, really ungrateful," the rookie retorted. "Stop looking down on others." From Ma Long's angle, he checked the class member list again and then alarmed everyone, saying, "It looks like everyone else has finished forming teams. There aren't many high-grade E's left. The two of us clearly still need one person, but no one is willing to join." While he fretted, Tran glanced toward the person behind all this. It was Kung Hyan, director of the employment office. He shares the Kung surname with Kung Din. He clearly belongs to the Kung family. The graduation rules are so important, yet they changed them on a whim. They even deliberately altered people's actual ranks to prevent others from forming teams. Do they think they can intimidate Kung Din? People in power truly want everything. But I'm definitely participating in this graduation exam. If you all have openly targeted me like this, then I don't need to be polite anymore. Proving myself by strength isn't limited to this test. The others were startled to see Tran's whole body wrapped in crackling lightning. Ma Long hurriedly spoke up to calm things. "Hey bro, what are you trying to do? What does that Tran want? Could he be planning to?" Several people guessed to themselves. Of course, Tran had his own purpose. The Awakened Academy has a special tradition. To help trainees master their professions and confrontations, students can issue one-on-one challenges anywhere. Such defiant acts allow someone to directly demonstrate their strength to everyone. Faced with a sudden challenge, many would refuse. But Kung Din certainly would not. If he is defeated, there will surely be people eager to form a team to chase high scores. With that in mind, as Tran moved closer to Kung Din, another voice suddenly called from the doorway. "Tran, your team is still short one member, right? I also want to take part in this year's school graduation exam. When I was in junior academy, I reached D rank. If I join your team, I won't hold you back, right?" The newcomer was Lin Vu. Her appearance left Ma Long and the rookie speechless. Oh my god, since when has Tran been associating with Lin Vu? That's incredible. Sitting up front, the hunter Kung Than barked out, "Hey, ask her, what did she say?" Kung Hyan was so surprised, he spat out the water in his mouth. All around, whispers rose. Vice President Lin Vu wants to team up with that clueless Tran. Isn't she an exchange student from outside? Why would she want to join our school's graduation evaluation? Her background is mysterious. They say she's a genius girl from St. Ha Nation. From Kung Hyan's perspective, after a moment of surprise, he turned angry and thought, why is this girl helping outsiders? Then he challenged, "Student Lin Vu, you're an exchange student. You have no right to participate in our school's graduation evaluation. Moreover, you haven't taken any evaluation tests since transferring here. I haven't seen any test reports proving your genius rank. Your participation in this evaluation violates the rules." No sooner had he finished than the silhouette of a tall man appeared in the hall. Head Kung Hyan is not wrong. Ma Long, seeing him beside himself, panicked and shouted, "Principal, when did you arrive?" Kung Hyan stood up in a flurry, inwardly alarmed. The principal is here too. The principal, seemingly unmoved by his panic, calmly said, "Lin Vu, you're only here as a temporary exchange. Why are you causing a scene?" The most surprised person was none other than the protagonist. "I thought the principal's profession was warrior, right? How does he have instantaneous teleportation like this?" Unaware of Tran's thoughts, the principal smiled and said, "Lin Vu, if you join the fight, it wouldn't be fair. Graduation tests only mean anything if they reflect true ability, right? Lin Vu smiled back. Oh dear, what a pity then. While the two chatted with smiles, Tu Tran quietly checked both of their information. The result made him break out in a cold sweat because a huge question mark appeared above their heads. I can't probe either of their ranks. On this side, Kung Hyan began to fidget and chimed in. The principal is right. Our school's reputation exists because we always act according to the rules. Before he could say more, the principal interrupted. The mission of the National Awakened University is to train top awakeners and provide them the best arena to showcase their talents, ensuring a rich and stable supply of awakened talent for the world. The graduation combat evaluation is a tradition maintained for decades. It is also one of the most pivotal moments in a student's life. If a student loses this opportunity because of some special factor like that, how can the school shoulder the responsibility? Saying this, he grew extremely cold. That single look terrified Kung Hyan so much he felt like wetting himself. Is that old man hinting at me? Has he discovered my underhanded moves? Normally, he doesn't care about such minor matters. Today, that old man and Lin Vu teamed up to put on this performance. Is this all because of that brat? Whatever, there's no point arguing to death with that old man. Kung Din, I can only help you this far. The high-rank students have already formed teams to complete the task. Only that Tu Tran drags along those three trash dormates. This time you'll win easily, right? Thinking that, the old dog quickly bowed and admitted fault. Oh Lord, Principal, you're absolutely right. Our recruitment office was negligent and didn't consider that the current team formation method could leave some students behind. Then he immediately changed the registration rules. I declare, teams with fewer than 5 members or without any member at high grade E or above may also register. The door to the graduation combat evaluation is permanently open to everyone. Thus, with the participation conditions changed, Tu Tran's group quickly formed their team in delight. Yeah, we have members for the test. Tu Tran, you'll be the leader this time. At the back, the principal, now interested, said to Lin Vu beside him, your concern for Tu Tran is stronger than I expected, Lin Vu. On one side is the strongest team in the school's history led by Kung Din. On the other is Tu Tran and his 3 dormates, the lowest scorers in the entire school. I'm curious, which haunted zone will they choose and how many points will they end up with? Up on the stage, an old invigilator also reminded. Contestants, after completing team formation, the captain may proceed to select a haunted zone. No sooner had he spoken than his tablet received a notification. Oh, a team has already selected a haunted zone, that fast. Not only him, others also received the message and exclaimed, Tu Tran's team is choosing a demon zone. Holy crap, the haunted zone they chose is. The rest of Tu Tran's team were so scared their blood pressure dropped at his choice. Tu Tran, are you crazy? Retract it. My ancestors, Tu Tran, do you know what you picked? Tu Tran remained silent and didn't respond to them. According to the school's curriculum, the graduation combat test is the first time students team up to enter a real haunted zone. Students earn points by defeating the area lords and lesser monsters. Scoring is divided into 3 categories: completion degree, maximum 10 points. Clearing all monsters in the haunted zone yields 10 points, each surviving monster deducts 1 point. Killing the area lord, maximum 20 points. Successfully killing the boss yields 20 points, failure yields 0. Completion time, maximum 20 points. Finishing the clear within 1 hour grants 20 points. After 1 hour, 1 point is deducted every 5 minutes. Different haunted zone ranks have different clearance difficulties and differing bonus points. Therefore, if you choose an F-rank haunted zone, the highest score you can achieve is only 75 points. However, there is another tier, E-rank haunted zones, which in theory can yield up to 100 points. Not only that, there's an enticing prize. The team with the highest score will have all members receive offers from the Imperial Guild. And the standout player, the team's MVP, will directly receive a managerial position in the Imperial Guild and a reward of 1 million. Looking at the screen, the brown-haired student sighed and recounted. The highest score in the school's test history is 90 points, set by our school's genius last year. He's now the leader of an Imperial Corps. He founded it after graduating. His friend beside him agreed and added, the difficulty of E-rank haunted zones is enormous. It can even take 3 D-rank awakeners to clear one. Then he looked toward the group in the middle of the room and speculated, Kung Din's team might challenge that school record. At that moment, the system announced, submitted. The bespectacled youth immediately exclaimed in surprise, a team has already chosen a haunted zone that fast. But right after he cried incredulously, "Holy shit, it's two trans team." The bespectacled youth stammered, he chose a D-rank haunted zone. On the screen, two trans image suddenly appeared. Selected D-rank haunted zone, awaiting team member confirmation. Immediately, the bespectacled youth shouted out, "Never, in history has a student chosen to clear a D-rank haunted zone. That kid, did he misclick or something?" Elsewhere in the class, Ma Long panicked and yelled, "Tu Tran, are you crazy? Do you know what you picked?" In the corner, Hang Ta collapsed to the floor, clutching his head and trembling. Crazy guy, why did I join a lunatic like you?" Staring at the selection frame, he wailed without tears, "Is it still possible to withdraw from the team now?" Over there, Ma Long urgently queried Tu Tran, "Have you thought this through? This is a D-rank haunted zone and D-rank means." Tu Tran's face was remarkably calm as he replied, "I've thought it through." At that moment, the system announced again, "Submitted." On the main screen appeared Kung Din's face. Selected D-rank haunted zone, team members confirmed, all members have confirmed. Team Kung Din's proposal is officially successful. In an instant, other students cried out in shock. "Oh my god, D-rank again, someone chose a D-rank haunted zone, holy crap." Their voices echoed through the classroom. There really is a show to watch this year. Over there, a blonde girl glanced a direction and sneered with contempt. Those rotten onions want to pretend, they didn't even consider their own abilities. Following her gaze, one could see two trans three companions standing in the distance. On this side, the bald guy hearing that immediately joined in the mockery. They know they'll finish at the bottom anyway, so they might as well attract attention. It's a D rank, his teammates won't agree to join. While there's still time to back out, switch to another team. They just formed it and already dissolved it, pathetic. There, Ma Long studied Tu Tran's expression intently. Seeing him so calm, he pondered. Is Tu Tran's demeanor truly so composed? When did that overwhelming aura start radiating from him? Clearly throughout university, I've been the one protecting this kid. A shadow of sadness flickered across Ma Long's eyes. Afterward, he didn't hesitate to join Tu Tran's team. "If we've spent 4 years together, then I'll go with you to the end." Shortly after, Hang Hu quickly agreed as well. "We're bottom of the class anyway, D-rank or F-rank makes no difference. Since it's come to this, let's enter a D-rank haunted zone and broaden our horizons." Seeing this, Hang Ta cried out in disbelief, "Hey you guys." His face panicked as he shouted, "You're serious? I'm supposed to be the dorm boss, why do I always end up at the lowest spot?" In the end, Hang Ta mustered his courage and joined. "Fine, I'll join too, it's a gamble but damn it, we still have to graduate. If we're going crazy, let's go all out." Instantly, the system confirmed. All team members have confirmed. Tu Tran's team has officially submitted successfully. Glancing at his three friends, Tu Tran felt slightly moved and murmured, "Everyone." Then he lowered his eyes and stated frankly, "Sorry, I chose a D-rank haunted zone because I want to get the MVP." But Tu Tran didn't notice that these words reached Kung Din. He continued, "Now I'll put everyone in danger with me." Tu Tran turned to his friends and earnestly invited, "Then let's get the highest score together." At that moment, Kung Din suddenly declared, "The MVP is mine." Hearing that, Tu Tran turned his head to look back. He saw Kung Din's face coldly assert, "Tu Tran, there can only be one strongest in the whole school." Watching this, Lin Vu commented with interest, "This is the first time I've seen this expression on Kung Din. It seems this look." She murmured thoughtfully, "The clash between these two has finally come." Beside them, the principal softly sighed, "Youth is wonderful. When you don't know something, you fear nothing." Thinking it over, Lin Vu's face showed concern as she said, "But Tu Tran choosing a D-rank haunted zone is overly confident. Even if he's C-rank, for one person to lead the whole team to clear a D-rank zone is absolutely impossible." Her tone grew serious. Although the bonus multiplier for a D-rank zone is 3, in theory the maximum is 150 points. Lin Vu calmly assessed, "But the difficulty is several times that of an E-rank zone. Given their current team strength, this choice is clearly the optimal plan." Hearing this, the principal only smiled faintly. "That's right, there's only half a month left until the combat exam begins." His voice judged steadily, "In such a short time, improving in quality is impossible." Finally, the principal said calmly, "I hope Tu Tran's lot can at least put on an acceptable performance by then." On the athletic field, Tu Tran's group was training diligently. 17 days remained until the evaluation. After the run, Ma Long could hardly stand. I'm telling you, Tran, everyone else is training elemental power and simulated monster combat in the function room. Why are you spending all day making us do this? His voice trembling, he asked confusedly, dodgeball, shuttle runs, sprints, our graduation test isn't a triathlon. What use are these? Hearing that, Tran calmly replied, at this stage, training elemental power and simulated duels has little meaning. Ultimately, they're just theoretical exercises. Looking at his three friends, he analyzed seriously. When you enter an unknown haunted zone and face major demons you've never seen, fear and the unknown will suddenly overwhelm you like a flood. What will decide your fate then isn't the theories stored in your brain. Tran solemnly pointed out, nor is it a patchwork of techniques cobbled together at the last minute but your instincts. His words clearly reached the three. Now we train strength, explosive power, and reaction force to raise your body's instincts. Tran turned around and in a calm, instructive tone said, the school's simulation training can maximize support, but the only truly useful training is actual combat inside haunted zones. His eyes coldly exposed a truth, but ordinary people can't enter real haunted zone combat training. Advantages and privileges always belong to the extraordinary. At the same time in the function room, Kung Din defeated the monster with a single move. What Tran mentioned was none other than that group's reality. They would spare no cost to widen the gap from others, so they could stand forever on top. His voice judged calmly, they were born with things others chase their whole lives and can never touch. After hearing all this, Hang Ta anxiously asked, so what about us, those who have nothing, what should we do? Tran solemnly declared, by striking at the highest imperial guild, we can transcend our current class. Looking at his three friends, he seriously pointed out, the graduation exam is the only chance you all have to take a detour. Tran said with firm conviction, and it's also my best opportunity to take a detour. His expression resolute, he promised, as for fulfilling this for everyone, I'll give it my all, we will definitely win. Time passed, 15 days remained until the evaluation began. In the Demon Tower Hyan Nguyen Tri Tin, Tran fought monsters empty-handed. He failed to dodge in time and a beast bit his shoulder. It then stretched a paw and slashed hard into Tran. A few more days passed, 10 days remained. On the athletic field he ran while cheering his friends, 5 laps left, come on, the three chased after him, groaning with fatigue, we can't do it. At the tower, Tran once more entered Hyan Nguyen Tri Tin to slay monsters. Elsewhere, Kung Din was also fighting with all his might. Time went on, 5 days remained. At that point, Tran was doing push-ups on the field. 3 days before the exam, Kung Din entered the Demon Tower again to train. With 2 days left, Tran could single-handedly wipe out the monsters. His rank rose. On the final day, he returned bloodied, each word gritted out. The real battle has begun. On June 17, 2157, the graduation combat exam day, a lively robot introduced itself before the testing room. Hello, candidates, I am the drone accompanying this evaluation. Opposite them, someone arrived and slowly tightened his gauntlets. Seeing Tran's group ready, the robot carefully reminded them, please check that your wristbands and equipment are worn properly. Immediately after, it announced solemnly, please pay attention, the graduation evaluation is officially starting. Outside the National Awakening University, 2 luxury cars were parked at the administrative building. Seeing their arrival, the principal immediately went out to greet and shake hands. Long time no see, Chairman Kung. The man replied warmly, Principal, you've waited a long time. He was Kung Lam, founder of the Imperial Guild Union and Kung Din's father. Up on the steps, students murmured excitedly at the sight of Kung Lam. Is that one of the founders of the Imperial Guild? That's so cool. Seeing the two respectfully waiting by the white car, everyone was extremely curious. Oh, who's in the backseat? They even got the principal and the Imperial Guild founder to step down. Below, a red-haired man slowly stepped out. Immediately the students cried in shock. Of all people, it's... This man was Kynal Cavendish, vice chairman of the World Guild Alliance. Recognizing him, a brown-blonde youth shouted in disbelief. The vice chairman of the Alliance, the vice chairman of the Guild Alliance, he actually came to our school. His face showed excitement as he exclaimed, Unbelievable, you hardly ever meet figures like this in a lifetime. No wonder the office area is spotless today. The Guild Alliance is the most powerful organization in the world right now, if they take notice of someone. Below, the principal walked along and cautiously announced, The live broadcast of the graduation practical exam is about to begin. Please move to the indoor area. Meanwhile, the students above excitedly chatted. No way, even contact with the Guild Alliance is enough to skyrocket someone's life. A while later inside, Kung Hyan stood before the screen and introduced. For this year's graduation practical exam, 184 students are participating, divided into 28 teams. He meticulously reported the numbers. Of those, 23 teams chose F-rank haunted zones, 2 teams chose E-rank zones, and 2 teams chose D-rank zones. Hearing this, the bespectacled girl exclaimed in surprise, "Oh, there are still teams choosing D-rank zones." She was Sigrid, Secretary General of the Guild Alliance. Sigrid commented thoughtfully, "Even for professional guild delegations, D-rank haunted zones are considered dangerous. Have you properly explained the hazards of these zones to your students?" Kung Hyan replied confidently, "Of course, we've made that clear beforehand. Because students lack real combat opportunities, most choose the lowest level. Rank E dealing with ordinary small monsters in an F-rank zone is still barely manageable." In an F-rank zone, a young man threw a punch that destroyed a spined carp. Seeing that group situation, Kung Hyan calmly judged, "But facing a zone boss monster is relatively difficult. The boss's strength far surpasses small monsters of the same rank. Students must fight with all their might to beat an F-rank boss." He then switched to another group's feed and explained, "But the situation in an E-rank zone is completely different. Each small monster in an E-rank zone is comparable to an F-rank boss. Here, students must face hundreds of small monsters." Seeing that, a black-haired youth panicked and whimpered, "E-rank zones are this hard, it's totally beyond expectation." This scene fully proved Kung Hyan's point. Thus, for the majority of students, conquering an E-rank zone is basically impossible. Looking at the black-haired youth's group, Sigrid asked seriously, "If a student is in danger, are there protective measures?" Kung Hyan's expression showed no alarm as he answered, "Secretary General, rest assured, students are our most valuable resource." His tone grew solemn as he assured, "Each haunted zone is monitored by armed personnel from the Imperial Guild Detachment. If an extremely dangerous situation is detected, they will intervene immediately." Kung Hyan added, "Moreover, the wristband worn by each candidate also has a signal transmission function." On the screen, the black-haired youth raised his hand and shouted, I quit the exam." As soon as he spoke, the system immediately confirmed, "Abandoned." Seeing that, Kung Hyan calmly explained, "As long as a candidate issues the command to abandon the evaluation, they will be immediately transferred out of the haunted zone." After hearing everything, Sigrid mused, "Even so, 2 student teams still chose the more difficult D-rank zones. It seems your school truly has many talents. I'm looking forward to their performance." In an instant, a scheming smile appeared on Kung Hyan's face as he thought, "Indeed, I want to see how many minutes they can actually endure." Looking at the image of Tu Tran's team, he arrogantly judged, "Those kids will run away soon." In the D-rank haunted zone, the 4 finally encountered monsters. The moment they met, Ma Long cried out in panic, "What kind of demon is that?" On the tree sat a creature that looked like a monkey but had bat wings on its arms. Its appearance made him shudder. "It looks really creepy." Up ahead, Tu Tran glanced at them and calmly explained, "Bat Monkey Demon, a spectral class demon good, specializes in group attacks, diving from the air at extremely high speed. Always be on guard against their swooping attacks." On the branches, the pack of Bat Monkey demons began to stand up. A second later, they all swooped down to attack the 4 of them. Tu Tran immediately shouted a warning, "They're coming." As the attack came, Hang Hu nimbly leaned back to dodge. Beside him, Ma Long timely bent down. Even Hang Ta quickly leaped up to avoid the strike. After the move, Hang Ta couldn't believe it and shouted, "Holy crap, we actually dodged an attack from a D-rank demon good." Ma Long also whispered in fright, "I'm not dead." At that moment, one creature suddenly dropped dead and fell to the ground. The sound drew Hang Ta's gaze. He choked and stared, blurting out, "Tu Tran he." They saw Tu Tran had already finished off several monsters. The sight made Hang Ta panic and shout. In the blink of an eye, he killed 3 D-rank demon goods by himself. A faint golden light flickered in Tu Tran's eyes. He turned his head and said in a steady voice, "You still don't have the strength to deal with them, just focus on protecting yourselves here." He immediately blitzed, his body becoming a blurred streak of light, then added succinctly, "Leave the rest to me." At the same time, Hang Ta, Ma Long, and Hang Hu all tumbled to evade the attacks. Hang Ta shouted loudly, "Careful." He rolled onto the ground, his back slamming hard against a tree, pain jolting through him. A clear thought flashed through his head. So that's it, he's always been training our reflexes and burst power, not because he expects us to help him, but so we can protect ourselves when needed. He told himself bitterly, damn, I used to be the dorm boss, and now I have to rely on this kid to get me through graduation. On the other side of the battlefield, Tran unleashed a flurry of thunderous punches, each blow accompanied by a deafening crack, sweeping away the rushing bat-monkey demons. They howled madly and surged forward like a tidal wave. Tran remained unshaken, continuing to deliver slashes and chops in all directions, each one torn apart and sent flying. Hangta stood frozen, eyes glued to Tran's silhouette, thinking to himself, Ma Long said Tran was very strong and I didn't believe it before, seeing it now I understand. This guy is so strong he doesn't even seem like a graduating student. He's clearly a battle-hardened warrior. Watching Tran defeat wave after wave, he marveled inwardly, this guy's become unnervingly reliable. Have I really been left behind? Suddenly a bat-monkey demon lunged straight from behind. Hang Hu screamed, watch out, another one's coming from behind. At that moment, Hang Ta appeared unexpectedly. He swung his arm and grabbed the creature's leg. He pulled hard so it faltered, dropping to one knee, panting but still resolute. Hey, move right, Ma Long. We can't just be a burden and rely entirely on Tran alone. Ma Long and Hang Hu froze. Hang Ta stared directly at them and continued, this isn't just his graduation exam. It's our graduation exam too. Hang Hu nodded vigorously and immediately launched an attack. You're right. He shouted floral chant, vine bind, taste my power. Lush green vines shot out like snakes, wrapping tightly around the bat-monkey demon. But it thrashed violently, tearing the vines apart in seconds. Hang Hu panicked what it broke free in an instant. At that moment, a wave of white chill covered the monster. Ma Long thrust his hand forward, voice cold. I've slowed it down, Hang Hu, move in. Hang Hu raised his hand and cast, Cloud Chant, Frost Veil Cloak, see how you run now. The two skills combined perfectly. The frost slowed the monster, the vines immediately rewrapped it. In unison they yelled, Hang Ta, now's your chance. Hang Ta charged forward at once, flames erupting around him, got it. He hurled a mage nut, the violent flame shot, roaring, take this. The fireball exploded right against the bat-monkey demon's face. Searing one side of it black, despite the pain it snarled wildly. Hang Ta threw a few more and swore, this thing's tanky as hell. The vines were ripped apart again. Hang Hu gritted his teeth, we're losing control of it. Ma Long panted at the limits. Hang Ta leapt high, concentrating all his strength into a giant violent flame shot, shouting, going all out. This is my full power strike. The mage nut converged violent flame shot descended like a meteor, stabbing straight into the bat-monkey demon. A earth-shattering explosion rang out as flames consumed its entire body. The system announced coldly, congratulations, bat-monkey demon defeated successfully. The three collapsed onto the ground, panting and sweating. Hang Ta grinned lopsidedly, we did it. We actually took down a D-rank demon good. Tran stood leaning against a tree, silently observing. Hang Ta struggled to stand, looking toward him. Hey Tran, you see that? In the ashes one item remained, bat-monkey demon finger bone ×1. Hang Ta laughed confidently, piece of cake. Tran gave a slight smile, his voice unusually gentle. Well done, congratulations. Behind him lay the corpses of dozens of defeated bat-monkey demons. The system continued to announce, all small monsters in this haunted zone have been eliminated. On the other side of the surveillance screen, Kung Hyen's eyes widened, his voice trembling. How is this possible? He muttered, disbelief in his eyes. A bunch of useless students with no real combat experience somehow overleveled and killed a D-rank demon good. Kung Lam and the principal beside him fell into deep silence. Kainal, seated leisurely in his chair, suddenly spoke, a spark of interest in his gaze. This young man performed not badly. He stared at Tran's image on the screen and continued softly. Moreover, he looks a lot like an old acquaintance of mine. Cavendish tilted his head to one side and said, his name is Tran, right? I remember now. Kung Lam flinched for a moment when he heard that. Kung Hyen suddenly began trembling all over strangely. He quickly pointed forward and changed the subject. Look over there, another team chose a D-rank haunted zone and have already pushed into the middle of it. The screen now displayed an intense battle. Chris pushed his glasses up thoughtfully and analyzed. Their coordination flows like water and drifting clouds. Basically, they're like a professional guild team. Cavendish propped his hand on his cheek and exclaimed with approval. Interesting, this year's graduates aren't bad. Kung Hyan immediately bowed his head and smiled inwardly. The fighting has only just begun. The real game is still to come. At this time, high-threat B-rank mushroom-haunted zones with virulent toxic spores were ravaging the area. Ngan Lin hugged her lute alone, producing auras that dispersed the poisonous mists with her decay lullaby, reducing their strength, stamina, and speed. Immediately, Engim Ha stepped forward and raised his hand to assist the gather. The boy's spirit energy sent the mushrooms flying into the air, and he shouted loudly, "Captain." Kung Din took the opportunity to unleash a sharp weapon. He sliced several times, tearing the mushroom caps into dust. Finished, Kung Din sheathed his sword. Engim Ha and his teammates then watched them gradually disappear, thinking to themselves that the monsters the school used for testing were exactly like the ones they'd faced during training. Handling them was really a piece of cake. Sure enough, the graduation assessment had been arranged by the Kung family in advance. Choose the right mountain to rely on, and life's path becomes extremely easy. With this, they would surely be champions. Seeing Kung Din turn away, Kung Than urged, "Go fight the boss." Cut to two trans group bracing themselves in a blizzard. He stared solemnly ahead. After a moment, two trans stood before a high-threat D-rank haunted zone and said, "Yun Sam Mountain, the peak, we actually climbed to the summit of a D-rank haunted zone." The ice demon orb was at the moment, leisurely eating and paying no attention. Ma Long cried out in fear, "So that's the final territory lord, it looks vicious," Hang Ta added without missing a beat. "One slap from it would kill me 10 times over." Suddenly, it opened its blazing red eyes wide. This made Ma Long and Hong Hun shout, "It's looking this way." The ice demon orb wasted no time and charged straight at them, causing the whole group to scatter and run. Only Tu Tran leapt up and stomped straight on its head. He didn't hesitate to kick the ice demon orb, sending it flying far away. As Tu Tran landed, it zipped a few circles around him in a stream of golden light. The ice demon orb screamed in pain several times under that terrifying power. It was cleaved into countless pieces by innumerable beams of light. In an instant, Tu Tran thrust his weapon through the ice demon orb's body. Hang Ta and Ma Long watched in panic, trembling violently, handled that easily. Minutes later, Tu Tran gazed at the ice demon orb. The system announced, "Experience plus 200 obtained Ice Orb X1." He squinted, feeling something was off. Weird, killing the territory lord of a D-rank haunted zone only grants this little experience, and the drop is so meager. Suddenly a shout echoed, catching Tu Tran's attention, "So many spirit ores." Hang Ta stood by a tree full of spirit ores, waving and calling out, "Come over here and look." That big guy hid a ton of spirit ores in the tree hollow, judging by the size, at least mid-grade spirit ores. "If we take them out and sell them, we'll be rich for life." But Tu Tran widened his eyes and stopped them. Wait. It was too late, someone had already touched a spirit ore. In an instant, they were engulfed by a strange light. Tu Tran froze before that light as well. Boom, an ice explosion erupted right there. The group was immediately locked in by the ice blocks, and the screen went dark right after. The system displayed an alert, Tu Tran's team lost signal. Kung Hyan stroked his beard and smiled. "So they got hit. The higher-grade Ma goods are intelligent. Worthless trash is always worthless, they'll only hold you back. Now your graduation assessment should be over." Cavendish quickly spoke up. In this situation, the students' lives could be threatened. He hurriedly bowed and proposed, "Right, rescue must be urgent. It seems we can only have the guild team intervene and stop them here." But Nguyen Lung objected, "Give them a bit more time. The wristband monitors their health in real time. So far, the survival indicators show normal, and there's no report of them consciously giving up. The choice should rightly remain in the hands of the contestants." Cut to the other side, Ma Long sneezed loudly. Behind him, his teammates lay frozen, only he hugged his body. "It's freezing. Luckily, my vocation is cloud type, so I have some resistance to freezing, otherwise we'd be trapped." Sudden noises made Ma Long panic. A second later, a grotesque beast appeared in the sky. He was terrified inside. That's the true territory lord of this haunted zone. Faced with the aura this monster radiated, Ma Long's mind worked swiftly. Seemingly remembering something, he was startled. He had seen this ice mage in the magic handbook. It wields both offensive and control skills, excels at manipulating ice and snow, is insidious, deceitful, ruthless, and likes to toy with prey until it dies. This is the ancient Bone Ice King, a rare C-rank Ma Good's lord. That ice bomb just now was definitely his trap. Thinking this, Ma Long had no desire to stay and fight the monster. Alone, he couldn't handle it. He needed to quickly rescue everyone. With that, he immediately turned and ran toward the protagonist to rescue the team's strongest combatant. However, before he could take many steps, his right leg was pierced by a shard of ice. The young man rolled and writhed on the ground. From above, the boss watched and began laughing with delight. At the same time, Ma Long's wristband kept issuing warnings. Warning, penetrating wound detected in left calf. Do you want to abandon this test? Without hesitation, Ma Long resolutely refused. I refuse, I must free Tu Tran quickly. As long as he recovers, we still have hope. With that thought, he immediately used the skill essence of transformation, applying refined energy to a single target to slowly remove negative status effects. But how could the Territory Lord monster sit idly by while Ma Long freed his teammates? Another shard of ice shot through Ma Long's hand, causing him to collapse to the ground. At the same time, the Purify skill failed. Seeing that, the Territory Lord monster laughed with delight. Then it used the skill Ice Bone Thorns, beginning to slowly accumulate countless razor-sharp ice shards around itself. Ma Long's wristband kept ringing urgently. Danger, heart rate too high, penetrating wound detected in the right arm. Do you want to forfeit the test? At that question, Ma Long gritted his teeth. Scenes of his past failures began flashing through his mind. Give up? That's because every time I faced hardship and fear, I ran away. That's why I was permanently left behind, looked down on, ridiculed, humiliated, and treated unfairly. We risked our lives to get this far. It took so much effort to have a chance to overturn fate. I will never give up like that. With that determination, Ma Long used essence of transformation again. A gentle light began to emanate from his palm. But it seemed to consume a lot, causing the young man's complexion to gradually turn ashen. At the same time, the boss also waved and unleashed its own skill downward. Ma Long seemed unaware of this and continued to maintain the skill. But behind him, the sharp ice shards were already hurtling straight at him. At that moment, he could only scream loudly, pouring all his strength into freeing Tu Tran. Fortunately, his effort was not in vain. At the most dangerous moment, Tu Tran's eyes suddenly snapped open. Before the ice shards could smash the ground, Tu Tran broke free, grabbed Ma Long and dashed to the side. Even the monster above flinched at that. Tu Tran propped Ma Long against a nearby rock. Seeing his friend awake, Ma Long forced a smile and said, "Haha, in the end we still have to rely on you to sort things out." Tu Tran reassured him with a worried expression, "No, you've helped a lot. Is your injury serious?" Ma Long shook his head and quickly relayed what he'd learned. "It's not serious, the bleeding has stopped. That monster is a C-rank ice territory lord, the Ice Bone King. Its power is immense, under no circumstances let it freeze you." No sooner had he spoken than both of them sensed something and immediately turned to look behind them. Seeing it was terrifying. High above, the monster was using Ice Rampage Siege, forming a gigantic block of ice that obscured an entire area. It looked down and laughed loudly, as if anticipating the sight of ants being crushed by its skill. Ma Long was nearly so frightened he wet himself. It can fire such a huge ice siege bomb, how can we possibly block that? The result was inevitable. When the skill struck, it caused a catastrophic explosion. Everyone's vision was obscured by blinding white light and the gale of the blast. From above, the Territory Lord monster still laughed as if triumphant. But just a few seconds later, its expression suddenly changed. Below, Tu Tran and Ma Long were not frozen at all. This was thanks to our protagonist changing his vocation to Cold Bone Physique. Its effect grants immunity to cold and boosts all resistances in low-temperature environments. At this point, the Territory Lord monster began to break into a cold sweat of fear. Not only the monster, even the young man was equally shocked. Tu Tran, what is that power on you? You were clearly an electric-type assassin, weren't you? Could you be someone with two vocations, a 1 in 10,000 rarity? He shouted in horror. To that question, Tu Tran didn't intend to explain much, only replied irritably. Sorry I misjudged earlier and put you three in danger, but that won't happen again. Our protagonist then changed his vocation to executioner prison and declared, Now I'm going to finish off that monster immediately. Back to Ma Long, seeing his friend Tu Tran keep swapping vocations like that, he moved from surprise to outright fear. Typically, a person who awakens can only attain one vocation. But there are extremely rare cases, about 1 in 10,000, where the awakener possesses two vocations. These are exceedingly rare beings called dual vocation users. Across the whole world, fewer than 10 dual vocation users exist. Once such talent is discovered, they immediately become targets for theft and recruitment by all the guilds. And yet now Tu Tran has obtained one, two, even three vocations. Moreover, each vocation's presence feels terrifying. Just as Ma Long sensed, when Tu Tran shifted into his executioner prison vocation, all of his attributes surged to dizzying levels. Putting Ma Long's thoughts aside, once Tu Tran accumulated enough power, he thrust with his legs and rocketed forward like a missile, immediately closing in on the territory lord monster. From above, he raised his sword high, preparing to strike down into it. Ma Long below watched dumbfounded. A thought flickered through him. The helplessness the monster felt under Tu Tran's blade had vanished without a trace. Needless to say, the territory lord monster was so terrified it nearly soiled itself. But before it could react, Tu Tran used the skill 8 generals against Calamity Overload mode and unleashed an extremely heavy slash. The stroke came down and the monster was cut in two. In the end, its body was smashed into bone fragments. Tu Tran landed lightly. The system quickly announced, Experience plus 5000, you have reached level 17, you have obtained Ice Bone Thorns X1. From Ma Long's view, he ran over to inspect the skull left of the territory lord and laughed foolishly. Still you, little bro, a C-rank territory lord wiped out with one slash. To that Tu Tran casually reminded, those two are still frozen, you still have strength to free them, right? The reminder from the protagonist immediately petrified Ma Long. He realized he'd left two other teammates behind and hurried to rescue them. Oh man, I almost forgot Hang Ta and Hang Vu, come on brothers. From Tu Tran's perspective, a notification appeared before him, can devour. Tu Tran wasn't surprised by this message. He gently reached forward and activated his devour ability. The skull was immediately sucked into his palm. And in the end it completely vanished, leaving no trace. After this completed, the system issued a confirmation. Devour complete Icebone King. Skills, Icebone Thorns condenses moisture in the air into sharp blades to attack enemies. Skill, Ice Rampage Bomb releases an explosion by accumulating maximum ice attribute energy, capable of freezing everything within a 20 m radius of the user. Can be upgraded to Great Ice Rampage Bomb, freezes everything within a 100 m2 radius around the user after the blast. Can be concealed before the explosion occurs. Looking at the system screen, Tu Tran glanced around and thought, I received a new vocation, Ice Mage. This is still the first time I've used a vocation Devour outside. The camera-equipped robot was just completely frozen, so it probably didn't get exposed to the audience. And there's still enough time, so we can definitely get a perfect score. Suddenly, another system notification appeared. Vocation proficiency increased. You gained 1 star and can allocate additional attribute points. The sudden message surprised the protagonist a bit. Oh, I got a star. Meanwhile, over with Kung Din's team, inside a high-danger D-rank haunted zone, Yuquat Dockman, they were fighting a monster called the D-rank giant carnivorous flower. Its enormous body and power meant the group could barely deal any damage. One guy in the group gritted his teeth and said, is this the power of a D-rank boss? Come on, hit it hard, I'm about to lose control. Elsewhere, another man kept firing thunder arrows and exclaimed, its defense is so strong, we basically can't break its guard. As this friend said, the thunder arrows did not even wound the flower monster when they hit. With a single lash of its root, it easily shattered the team's formation, and the chains on its body were snapped to pieces. We can't control it anymore, the controller shouted. While the archer nervously said, during training we never encountered a maw creature of this strength. What do we do now? The controller turned and looked to the group's only hope. We can only rely on the captain. How is guild leader Kung Din doing over there? Has his power finished charging? Not far away, he was receiving strength-boosting effects from two teammates' skills. Seeing the urgent situation, he slowly drew his sword and said, that's enough. Having said that, the young man rocketed forward like a missile, striking directly into the body of the flower monster. Next, he shouted, Liat Fan and Han Quan B letter 1EA10. As the words rang out, an earth-shattering explosion appeared where the sword struck, causing the flower monster's body to be blown to smithereens. The teammates behind witnessed this and shouted with joy. The guild leader is strong, can't fault the guild leader, he's truly the best. At the same time, the monitoring robot ran over and announced, "Congratulations to Team Kung Din for successfully clearing the D-rank haunted zone. Time, 35 minutes. Hearing the time, the group became even more excited. Haha, we defeated a D-rank haunted zone in just half an hour. This achievement might never be matched. We cleared it within 1 hour, plus the haunted zone reward is 3, so our total score is 150 points. A perfect score and unprecedented record. Come on, let's go out and see the results." Kung Cheng said as he walked. Even a D-rank haunted zone, the lowest rank, normally takes others at least an hour to clear. During that time, those who left the haunted zone apart from us must have been useless quitters. Some people held their heads and moaned, "Monster, don't kill me." A friend next to them reassured, "Calm down, we're about to leave the haunted zone." A female student hugged herself tightly, trembling non-stop. So terrifying, those monsters are too scary. At that moment, Kung Cheng's gaze flicked toward the distant group. He then gave a dangerously contemptuous smile and assessed them. Tutran and those guys really did retreat. Suddenly he shouted, "Isn't that Tutran? Why couldn't you finish the exam? Weren't you so cool before?" At that moment someone called to him, "Kung Cheng, come back here." The vice chairman has arrived. After that greeting, Cavendish approached from afar, clapping, "Wonderful. Today we truly witnessed an outstanding performance." He slowly moved toward the group. Kung Cheng exclaimed, "This is the man standing at the pinnacle of world power. He's coming this way, he's heading toward us." Kung Din reached out as if to greet him, but unfortunately Cavendish paid him no attention. He brushed past them with indifference. Cavendish began speaking with Tutran. "I really didn't expect you to clear a D-rank haunted zone in only 21 minutes. Even mature guild vocation teams would find that difficult, truly impressive." Hearing this, Kung Cheng screamed in horror. "What? 4 useless guys not only cleared a D-rank haunted zone but did it in just 21 minutes. Tutran's group excitedly cheered, "Hello, Vice Chairman." Tutran thought to himself, Cavendish, Vice Chairman of the World Guild Alliance, considered the second most powerful person in the world. Why is he here? He began, "You're Tutran right, this trip was not in vain." Also, young Master Kung performed very well. At a young age, he led a team to clear a D-rank haunted zone. Guild leader Kung Lam is indeed a good mentor. A fine teacher produces fine students. Kung Lam replied, "Vice Chairman, you're flattering us." Then he frowned and glanced over at Kung Din. Meanwhile, the Vice Chairman turned to leave. "It's getting late, I should head back." People buzzed, that old headmaster really hit the jackpot. These are 2 once-in-a-millennium stars. Kung Hyan announced, "Next I'll declare the test results for the 2 teams. Because there are 2 perfect scores this time, I declare your 2 teams tied for first place. All members of each team qualify to join the Imperial Guild." Ma Long cheered, "The Imperial Guild, we actually made it into the Imperial Guild." Hang Ta agreed, "Yeah." Everyone applauded, just graduated and no longer worried about food, one step to the top. He continued, "Additionally, both team captains Kung Din and Tutran will be given key managerial positions in the Imperial Guild and will share the 1 million MVP bonus equally." The expressions of Kung Din and Tutran immediately froze. He pondered, "Only 500,000 each. I satisfied Than Tri within a month and returned 1 million. Do they expect me to delay? I have to find a way to quickly earn another 500,000. On the other side, Kung Din suddenly spoke up. "There can only be one first place and only one person is needed. I want to duel you alone." His face was extremely serious. Hearing that, everyone's faces went blank. They all turned to look at Kung Din. Even the vice chairman's entourage, who had been about to leave, couldn't help but turn back to gawk. Kung Hyan whispered, "What nonsense are you saying? The exam is over, the fairest solution is to tie both teams for first. Besides, Tutran wouldn't agree to a rematch." But contrary to his thoughts, the protagonist suddenly stepped forward 1 pace. Tutran stepped out and said, "If I win, the entire 1 million must be mine." Kung Hyan burst out laughing. Kung Din frowned, "If you can beat me, take it all." Cavendish, amused, said, "Very interesting, the show isn't over yet." Tutran stepped closer and asked, "Say it, how do you want to compete?" Back to that guy Than Kai, he was also extremely surprised by the result Tutran achieved. "I originally thought you had the skill to take first place, but I didn't expect you to break the record outright and score a perfect mark." The press is full of stories about you now. It seems I made a very correct and far-reaching choice. Than Kai smiled. You don't need to pay that 1.5 million. Consider it my seed investment in you. He said this while looking toward the protagonist ahead. Meanwhile, after a few seconds of thought, Tu Tran said firmly, "No, I must pay back the money owed. I came here today to tell you two things. First, please extend the repayment deadline by 1 more week. Because there were 2 people tied for first in the graduation exam, I received 500,000 less than expected. I and the other person will have an additional private assessment. It will take place in the wild Ma Quat outside the school in 1 week." Hearing this, Than Kai couldn't help gasping. What? You 2 students plan to enter the wild Ma Quat outside the school? You haven't gone through guild training yet, that's far too dangerous. In response, Tu Tran remained calm. Don't worry, you don't need to be concerned. After 1 week, I'll win the additional assessment and get the remaining 500,000. Moreover, I'll give you all the materials we collect in the Ma Quat as interest for the 1 week extension. The more the protagonist spoke, the more sweat appeared on Than Kai's face. Inwardly, he reassessed Tu Tran. He's not afraid to enter the wild Ma Quat, instead he only thinks about repaying the debt and the interest, truly not ordinary. Unaware of his thoughts, the protagonist opposite continued. Second request, and besides, I came to you this time for another matter, a more important one. The author's text conceals his request. But whatever Tu Tran said caused Than Kai to leap to his feet in astonishment after hearing it. Time passed quickly. On the afternoon of June 17, at Thang Thai High School in Thuong County, Tu Van's younger sister had just finished classes and was stretching happily. Finally, the last exam is over. Next is summer vacation. At that, she suddenly noticed the time on her phone screen. Oh right, today is my brother's graduation exam too. She remembered 4 years earlier when Tu Tran happily showed her the acceptance letter from the National Awakening University. Tu Van, they found elemental potential in me. I've been accepted by National Awakening University. On the other side, she was happy for her brother. So you're like mom and dad about to become an awakener too. Tu Tran nodded repeatedly. Yeah, I can join a strong guild and earn a lot so you can have a better life. Besides, maybe I can even find traces of what happened to mom and dad. Little Tu Van eagerly echoed her brother. Yeah, big brother is amazing, my brother is the best. He'll definitely become an incredibly powerful awakener. Not long before, she still remembered Tu Tran's dejected appearance when he couldn't awaken. Then Tu Tran put on a smile and tried to reassure her. It's okay, looks like I just have to keep trying. Back in the present, she continued thinking. After entering Awakening University, her brother was always the most diligent among his peers, yet he became the only one who couldn't awaken. Watching those around him awaken one by one, he must have felt very lonely, he just never showed it in front of her. Just as she thought this, her close friend Truck Dong suddenly rushed over to greet her. Hey Tu Van, have you heard? This year, National Awakening University produced 2 genius graduates. Both led their teams to perfect scores. The vice president of the Guild Alliance personally met them and gave high praise. It even made the news. This time our Thuong County is famous. Saying that, she seemed to recall something and reminded, oh right, doesn't your brother also study at that school? Tu Van's expression turned awkward, unsure how to answer. Then suddenly another male voice rang out, Good afternoon, Tu Van. I've reserved a private room on the top floor of the Zai Feng building. You'll be free at 8 tonight, right? The handsome pink-haired boy was named Kim De Ham, also a student at Than Thai School. His invitation made her close friend Truck Dong blush, whispering, Hey Tu Van, since when did you get to know the school's heartthrob? However, contrary to their expectations, Tu Van suddenly tucked her legs and ran off. Leaving the other two stunned, her friend cried out in surprise, Hey, why are you running so fast? All of Tu Van's reactions came from sympathy for her older brother. Their friends all scored perfects on the graduation exam and made the news, yet her brother still hadn't awakened. She felt so sorry, I must hurry home and cook a big meal to comfort him. Time passed quickly and night fell on June 17. Inside their room, just as she had planned that morning, little Tu Van prepared a sumptuous meal, which even surprised the protagonist a bit. Tu Van, when did you make such a huge spread? This sukiyaki hot pot smells amazing. Opposite her, Tu Van still wore an extremely sullen face, not even wanting to respond. Just then the TV news broadcast sounded. Next up is the evening news. This morning, National Awakening University of Dongtan Country successfully concluded its practical graduation exams. The vice president of the Guild Alliance, Carl Cavendish, personally appeared to mingle with the students. Seeing her brother still cheerfully eating, Tu Van felt more certain of her thoughts. Sure enough, he's trying to act calm. Failing the graduation exam is a huge shock to anyone, yet he shows no sign of it. The announcer continued. According to reports, this year's exam produced an extremely rare case of dual champions. Two genius students led their teams to perfect scores. Vice President Carl praised this year's exam highly to the media and singled out one of them for special commendation. The student who led a team to a perfect score is student Tu Tran. The moment the name was announced, Tu Van seemed to snap awake and whipped her head around. Her face showed clear disbelief. A perfect score, student Tu Tran. In a different development, unlike the cheerful atmosphere at Tu Tran's home, Kung Din was currently being punished by his father Kung Lam. The old man's voice rang coldly. I've already set the stage for you and all the people have arrived. And yet you completely botched the performance. You didn't win, no, you lost to an unknown brat. From now on you no longer have the right to decide for yourself. I've already arranged the supplementary assessment for 1 week from now. If you can't do it, I'll do it for you. By any means necessary, that brat must become one of the Kung family's people, he said with a face as cold as ice.